obviously we have lots of questions. Dorothy, are you there?
Yep, we're here. Duncan and Dorothy are together.
All right, okay. So Dorothy reached out, just so everyone can get the gist of it. Dorothy reached out to me on Twitter last week, and we've had 2 phone calls since, hence why we're having the webinar now. So I'm just going to, for you guys, Duncan, and for your team, I'm just going to introduce who's on the webinar so you know who everyone is. Okay, so first, myself, I'm quite sure you know who I am. Jen McAdam, invested in OneCoin, brought people into it, and our loss is $250,000 so far. I realised in 2016, once I spoke to DC Kieran Vaughan from London City Police Fraud Laundering Unit, that OneCoin was indeed being investigated in the UK, and they believed at that point it was a scam. That was his words to me, a Ponzi fraud scam, not to invest and to advise others not to invest. So we are 2 years down the line. I founded the OneCoin Victim Support Group. We now have various support groups in different social media platforms, and we have about 6,500 victims so far and growing every day. So it's been some journey the last 2 years, where we support people who are feeling suicidal because they have nothing left financially, especially in the poorest countries. They've sold their lands, they've sold their homes. And so this is where my main work is focused on, is helping the OneCoin victims and raising awareness of this multi-billion-dollar Ponzi fraud scam. So that's me. On the call we have Tim. He'll be joining us soon. I'm quite sure you know him. Tim Taschen-Curry, crypto enthusiast, compliance professional for 6.5 years. Also been helping and supporting the victims the last 2 years in the OneCoin Victim Support Group. We have Crypto Expose on the call. I'm sure you all know of Crypto Expose, long-time critic of OneCoin, and raises awareness and has done for a long time about this Ponzi fraud scam. We have Lynn Eddington, founder and president of a US non-profit corporation that educates the public about all types of cyber crimes and assists law enforcement agencies worldwide in their investigation of those types of cyber crimes. We have Oz Delphi, crypto enthusiast from Sydney, Australia, and following OneCoin since July 2015. We're waiting on John Walsh, blockchain strategist, joining the call. So that's really from our side who's on the webinar tonight. I said I spoke to Dorothy earlier, and if she wants to introduce you all and you know what you do, that would be great.
I'll leave that to Duncan. He's the master of all.
All right, okay, Dorothy.
Okay. Well, good evening, London time to everybody. I was the great white hope of OneCoin until very, very recently. I was the person who was going to bring usability to the coin. The way that OneLife is organized is that there's a London office, there's a Sophia office. We operated in parallel to each other. We never ever got access to anything. We got instructions. I was permanently on the verge of being fired. The only thing that saved me was my friendship with Constantine. I created New Deal Shaker as a means to create usability for the coin, as I mentioned. I worked very closely with Jan Erik. We battled to get access to the system. When we finally got access to the system, we were horrified, absolutely horrified. Okay, in the meantime, I've been questioned by the federal agents who arrested Constantine in Los Angeles. I went to Los Angeles airport with Constantine. It was one of the most traumatic things that has ever happened to me. I went to Sophia, asked the same questions. They wouldn't answer them. Then when Jan Erik found out what we were actually dealing with, it's not more than what we found. It's what we couldn't find that shocked us. You know, I raised a red alert. Jan Erik sent a report to Wesselina. Somehow that report leaked and we were effectively fired. So I'm here to help anybody who needs any kind of evidence in any kind of tribunal, in any kind of forum. I've been harassed, I've been threatened, whatever. But, you know, one life is like the zombie that just doesn't die in a horror movie. It keeps coming back. But whatever you need to know, we have seen the system. We are willing to testify wherever, give whatever information you need in order to help bring this nightmare to an absolute end.
Can you just introduce the rest of the team while we're there?
Okay. While we're here, let me introduce the rest of the team. Jan Erik Nyman is my absolute IT wizard. He does whatever needs to be done. He's brilliant. He's one of the few people I recognize as a genius. Lloyd is my deputy and also my first cousin. Gary is my legal person, and Dorothy makes sure I make it through the day and actually eat on time and remember to go to sleep.
Thanks very much, Duncan. Really appreciate that. I think what the structure of this is, what we'll do is obviously we have some questions. So I'm going to be taking a step back and listening to everything, because obviously my concerns are the OneCoin victims here. So all the people on the webinar from our side do have questions. We won't be attacking. That's not what this is about. We're here for transparency and the truth. And so I just want to, to really confirm that. So I think Lynn, are you okay? I think you want to start with some questions. Oh, sorry, you're in mute. Hold on a little second. Sorry about that, Lynn. I had you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear. The floor's yours.
Well, first of all, I have to apologize for the lighting in my room. It's not the most conducive for doing this webinar and being on camera, and I didn't want you to think I was trying to hide in the shadows. But it is, and I'll come up here, so if anybody wants to see what this mug looks like, you can see what it looks like, without so much in the shadows, but it's the best I'm going to do without glaring, making it so you absolutely blind you. But anyway, Duncan, I want to start off with some general questions, and I appreciate your willingness and candor to come on and talk to us about this. But I really want to find out, when did you first meet Ruja, and where was it that you met her?
Okay, very good question. I was working for Northern Trust, which is the most conservative American bank. There have only been 3 people who have been recruited to One Life from conservative external banks. This was in late 2016. I got a phone call saying, come and work for this lady. She's magnificent, all the rest of it. I looked on Google and I thought, my God, you must be fucking joking. There is no way. Anyway, they said to her, speak to her for 10 minutes. She sold me the vision. She brought me into the bubble. She had me flown over to the Ukraine the next day, and I signed up. She regretted it immediately. Thereafter, she tried to fire me almost weekly. The only thing that saved me was my friendship with Constantine.
Okay, so this was in the summer of 2016, is that correct?
No, winter, late winter.
Okay, winter. Okay.
September, yes.
Now, when she hired you, what position did she hire you for?
She hired me as, well, I didn't have a proper job title. I was hired into what was called her London office, which was a satellite office of the Sophia office. She hired me as a consultant. So what I would typically do is I would run errands around London, as we all did in the London office. We would translate things. We would try and drive the IPO. On day 2, I advised her that this was just not typically possible, and that's the first time we had a clash. We were there to manage her London properties. A lot of what I did was fix the English on communications and try and reach out to central banks and introduce them to crypto. And that's something I'm particularly bitter about. These people place me in very difficult situations in third world countries, in the most impossible places you wouldn't believe, selling a blockchain that doesn't exist.
Okay, so found the line here. When was it specifically that you got hired to set up the new DealShaker platform and work with that program?
Okay. DealShaker started in about 2017 in February. It immediately became my entire focus. I wasn't in charge of it. A year later, there was nobody left. I was told to fix DealShaker. So my approach was, DealShaker is broken. It's an unproven technology. It's a clumsy brand. If we're going to drive usability of any coin, we need to fix it. Immediately, I said, we take any coin and we will take fiat. Now, that is when I engaged Jan Erik, because he has a lot of experience in this. Now, in order for us to build something which was set up in parallel to OneLife, we needed access to the system. But we just couldn't get access to the system. They just wouldn't give it to us. You know, every time we asked for a little bit, we'd fight. Then I'd have to rush to Constantine, and he'd have to intervene. Now, we couldn't understand why. But eventually, when we had enough to put everything together, we realized just how dire it was. There's no blockchain, there's no mining, there's no nodes. Obviously, we can't be part of that. But in the meantime, we've gone and built probably what is the best merchant acquiring platform in the entire world at the moment, and will be for at least the last 18 months. So I was very publicly fired by Sophia. They attempted to humiliate me. They threatened me, not necessarily directly, but indirectly. When I complained, I was harassed legally. A whole lot of people hate me, but here we are, the truth will out and the business model is unsustainable. Anybody who needs to know anything just has to read the American documents that came out after I was questioned by federal agents. Everything is there. Anybody who is selling it now is a criminal. I can believe that anybody before then was absolutely gullible, believed the vision and everything, but now it's completely clear.
One of the other questions I have is that from late 2015 and especially into early 2016, the negativity about OneCoin was all over everywhere. I mean, you totally had to be deaf, blind, and dumb if you didn't know anything about the negativity, because it was, I don't care where you went, put the name in, and all these sites start popping up and all the negativity. How were you insulated from that information and saying and not believing anything that any of us were saying about OneCoin was true, for you to continue to operate at the level that you operated at until you actually got into the later, I mean, like real late, that you realized this is all shell game? And to me, it's like, why wasn't there some warning bells going off before you ever got to that point that would have raised alarms to you, would have made you ask more significant questions than what you apparently have asked up until that point in time?
Okay. First thing, we agreed there would be no personal attacks. Second thing, I only appeared on the scene at the end of 2016. Thirdly, you got sucked into it too. OneCoin is a cult. There's limited information, and once you go into that bubble, you believe everything that is told to you. Okay. Now, the idea is fantastic that it started at. But once you go into that bubble, you absolutely send. All right, we are in London. We are not in Sophia. We were fed what we needed to be fed. We were not supporting the coin. We were not supporting the network. We did not go to events. We ran errands.
Understand? Please admit
no, you don't understand.
This wasn't a personal attack. I'm just curious as to, with all the negativity was going on around, how that didn't impact anybody inside the organization. And you basically addressed that question, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, we were not in the organization. That's the most important thing. I have never been paid out of Sophia. I've never been employed by Sophia. We have always worked out of London in a separate corporate structure, and we have always been entirely self-funded. But once we knew the truth, it was our duty to absolutely.
Okay, now in regard to that, you released a statement, and it kind of troubled me a little bit, and I want to tell you why it troubled me. You indicated that if they basically apologize to you for the names they've called you and the things that they've done to you, that you would want to continue working with them to develop the OneCoin. Is that a true statement?
On the basis that we draw a line on the sand, I take control of the IT, I fix things as far as I can, and I make good as far as I can.
Still knowing that everything they've done up to this point in time was a total sham and it was strictly a Ponzi. And you realize, and I'm sure you do, since I've seen some of the comments you made since you talked to the federal authorities, you really put yourself at risk of being an accessory into this whole mess. And understand from my standpoint, I'm sitting here and I'm asking myself, why would you want to continue to work with an organization if you know straight up it was a Ponzi from day one, it's a lie from day one, and now it's like, well, that was then, this is now, and you understand my dilemma. What I'm trying to really ask the question here is like,
I understand your dilemma completely. Okay, a lot of people have lost a lot of money, right? Okay, my objective is that I would like to see everybody who went into this whole thing leaving with just as much as they put in when they go out. Okay, now that involves turning the whole organization around. Now in multi-level marketing, there are multiple examples in terms of that having worked. Herbalife has some uncanny parallels to what One Life is. The founder goes missing, it's a Ponzi, they turn it around, it works. That was my objective at the time, but unfortunately, nobody else believed me, and I've had to part ways. So that's where we are.
Okay, like I said, it just seemed like a dichotomy to me that you would want to continue to work with them, knowing that there's no way the government's going to let this thing continue. I mean, OneCoin is dead. Let's be honest. OneCoin's dead. In order for it to survive, any way for it to survive, it has to change its names totally. It has to have total different ownership. There's no way you can bring back the name OneCoin. I mean, its negativity is so overwhelming. There's no way you can ever recover that. And to be honest with you, I'm still stunned that the websites are still up. To be honest with you, I'm totally stunned.
No,
I don't get it.
There is no toxic brand quite like One Life and OneCoin right now, and I'm also still stunned. But yet people go to work every morning in Sophia and carry on and believe. Now that has to stop. Whatever happens in New York, either Constantine comes out or he gets convicted. Other way, he tells me, you were right, because we were trying to fix things. He certainly is a very different person from his sister. There is a case to answer. How much of it is Constantine's, I'm not quite sure. But, this is a cancer which needs to be absolutely cut out. And I'm embarrassed that I was drawn in, as I'm sure we all are. But we have to deal with what we're given, and these are the tools we have.
Well, you need to understand, I never was involved in OneCoin as a participant, mainly because of the type of organization I run. We can never join anything because we never know when we're going to be asked by law enforcement to help with an investigation of the thing that we might have gotten into. So, I come back from a lot of, let's put it this way. There's no way we can join any program whatsoever. It's just impossible. And so we said on the sidelines, we're neutral in all this, but all we do is go in and dig around and find out. But to me, the answer is that I just don't see any authority in, and to be honest with you, the US is just the beginning. There's still the ongoing multinational criminal investigation in Europe. You got investigation going on in Southeast Asia. There are no way in the world that this is going to be allowed to continue by any law enforcement agency anywhere. And that's why I came back to the original premise I said was, there's no way you're going to resurrect OneCoin. It's dead. The only way anything gets started is it has to be brand new, fully started from ground up, fully legal from day one. And that will in itself forget about OneCoin. And that's the only way I see anybody that was in OneCoin being able to recover any losses that they had. Let's put it this way, unless they can freeze bank accounts, unless they can go after all the money that's been stolen in this thing, the people that are in this are SOL. They have to freeze these bank accounts. They have to be able to pull this money back. And then it's going to be pennies on the dollars because of all the money that they put away. They've got to find it all. And that's a major monumental task. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm going to be very blunt with you. This notion that it's $4.6 billion is baloney. It's closer to $7, maybe $8 billion that they took in. And that money's gone. Now, when I say gone, I mean it's hidden in foreign bank accounts where they don't do banking with anybody else, and they're not going to honor any subpoenas and that kind of stuff. To pry that money loose is going to be a major, major headache. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's going to take years. And I'm coming at it from a standpoint, I'm a researcher and I'm an investigator, and I'm looking at this and I understand what you're saying, but the thing that bothers me is, if you really truly believe that this can be saved, that's troublesome for me. Not saying, I'm just saying it's dead. And the only way it can't come back. It just flat can't. The only thing can happen is a new coin is being developed. It's legal. And if there's some way that can be used to work with the victims of OneCoin, that remains to be seen. The biggest issue is the people in OneCoin that have taken the beating. They're not going to trust anybody, no matter what they say, because they've been lied to from day one, and now they know it. And that's what makes this whole thing just totally impossible to correct and make it go forward as a viable entity. It won't happen. It just won't happen.
No, that can't happen. Sophia just won't believe it. I don't know if you've ever been to Bulgaria, but it's like visiting another planet.
Well, I understand they believe. I deal with the people that believe in this every day. I know they believe, but their belief is basically, you hit the nail on the head, and I've said it's day one. It's a cult. They believe in a cult. They believe in a vision that they think was the vision. The vision from Ruja was, how much money can we steal? How quickly can we do it? And how quickly can we get out of Dodge and blame somebody else for it? That was the vision from day one. Nothing about OneCoin from day one was legal or was legitimate.
Yes.
So that's why I'm saying it's so difficult. I don't care what people in Sophia think. It makes no difference to me. They're believing a lie, and they can live that lie as long as they want to. But the reality is there's nothing to resurrect. It's dead. There's no way you can go in. They couldn't go in the market with OneCoin and be a success. It's just too tainted.
I think, sorry, Lynn, if I can interrupt. Sorry, it's Lloyd here. And your point's well made. And I think that's one of the reasons that the call is here, because we got to the point where we realize, as you rightly said, that OneCoin, one life is doomed. And that's the only thing we can actually do is actually provide a lifeboat for members that have actually invested, sometimes their life savings. And I'm fortunate enough that I haven't actually been involved in One Life. And I'm grateful for that. But I can't really express the loss that some people must be feeling. But I think in terms of my journey, I've only been involved with this for a short amount of time, and like you, when I started, when Duncan approached me to actually rebrand New Deal Shaker, and I was like, you can't ask me to get involved with this. It's insane. And Duncan's response, I said, "Is there a blockchain?" And he said, "Yes, I've seen it." And I think Duncan's biggest surprise was when he was actually apprehended in the States, and they sat him down and said, "Well, how's this coin priced? What's this?" And they asked pertinent questions, at which point Duncan was like, "Well, he answered what he knew." And to the point where they actually said, "Excuse the language, you're a fucking idiot."
Yeah.
And I think in terms of that, that realization and the fact that there was an opportunity to turn it around. If there'd been a complete ignorance from the people in Sophia, where it was like, "Well, we don't know, help us, what's going on?" Because I've met nice people, nice leaders within the One Life community, and some of them don't care that there's no blockchain, because they are so engrossed in the Kool-Aid, as we call it. The cult aspect. They don't actually care because they just believe in this vision. Now, one of the reasons that we approach people like you and like Jen is to actually raise the profile of this to the mainstream media, because it boggles my brain that sorry, as you say, 7 billion people, 7 billion euro can disappear, and it cannot appear in some place like the New York Times or the Guardian, or it just boggles my brain. So in terms of our mission or what we want to do, it's about bringing crypto and usability to the mainstream and actually getting the credibility that we need. So we can probably introduce Jan Erik, because he can give you the dynamics of what we've built. But everything that we've done is above board, and that's something that we really want to stress, is that we want to be legal, we want to be transparent, and we want to actually see this be successful for the people that have lost everything, and actually give them the opportunity to potentially get something back. I'm not gearing this as an investment, but the fact that we can honor BIC before we go into the exchange. Sorry, honor OneCoin with our coin before we go to the exchange. It just gives some people some hope, and that's essentially where we are. That's the first step from our point of view.
Thanks, Lloyd. Appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate it, Lloyd. Thanks, Lynn. Also appreciate it. What I'm going to do is Tim's up next with some questions, and the tech questions I'll follow on as well. So I'll just pass it on to Tim. Are you unmuted, Tim? Yeah, the floor's yours.
Yep. Hi, everybody. My name's Tim. I'm going to go by Temptation. A lot of people already know my name because I've had death threats, been attacked, and whatnot since I've been following this. And just to preface how I became involved, if you will, is on March 28th of 2015, I received a message over Facebook Messenger from Jason Richard Mangan, who said, "Hey, I noticed you're into cryptocurrency, check this thing out." And he proceeded, "Are you interested in hearing about a new cryptocurrency?" I'm all, "Sure, of course, I'm a cryptocurrency enthusiast, yes." And so he sent me to the OneCoin site, and literally within about 3 minutes, I mean, with all of the spelling and grammar errors and the lexicon of cryptocurrency being just completely off base, I told him, I go, "Hey man, this is a scam. I hope you didn't invest very much." He's all, no, it's not a scam. And kind of began arguing, and he's like, "Look, and I basically said, look, dude, this is not a blockchain-based cryptocurrency. This company doesn't even accept cryptocurrency." And they didn't accept cryptocurrency for the first 18, 19 months that they were in existence. So he pointed me to a video, in a webinar in which was called, OneCoin Mining Explained with Dr. Ruja webinar, right? And this is a 50-minute video, and the listening to it was just completely comical, because there were not only so many errors, but it was just so clear that Ruja was tripping over her words. She didn't understand how blockchain worked. She was, talking about how they're trying to make the blockchain faster and this sort of thing, and talking about how each block gets, more difficult and stuff like this. And mind you, this is being run on a few nodes. So, at that point, I knew for sure it was a scam. And then I actually attended a meeting in California just to see, because it was only about an hour away from my house. And I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go check this out and see what's happening here. And it was led by Sal Rito and Maurice Katz. And they, again, who were the presenters, had no clue even about Bitcoin. I mean, they're like, we're going to do these fees for, less than 99 cents to transfer money anywhere in the world. And Ruja just bought all these banks. At the time, a Bitcoin transaction was between like 3 and 7 cents. It was optional. It was just kind of a tip to the network. But, but there were so many people in the audience. I saw the just how people could very easily fall for this. They had a presentation in which one of the members, trying to remember his name, I forget it at the moment, but he and his wife had just completed the Tycoon education package or whatever. So during one of the breaks, I went out there and had a conversation with him. And this is the highest level that you get attained at the time in OneCoin. So I had a conversation with him, and again, he had zero concept of mining. He had zero concept of how cryptocurrencies work. I mean, by definition of cryptocurrency, which is an open source, decentralized, permissionless, peer-to-peer, with no third-party intermediary transactional platform and payment rails, OneCoin never had even a single element of that in common. It's supposed to be uncensorable. It can't be confiscated. All this sort of things. And from the beginning, OneCoin touted it as the first transparent cryptocurrency. Additionally, they said that we are going to audit our blockchain every month and have a professional auditor, a professional auditor. Come in and do a monthly audit, which, by the way, happened only maybe 8 times in history of OneCoin. But the whole point is that a blockchain can be audited at every second of every day, every block, every transaction. The idea of mining coins outside of the blockchain was just, it was just a farce since day one. And anyone with any sort of technical background wouldn't fall for it for a moment. They would laugh. And then, when you start looking up, we talk about due diligence. Duncan and some of the team over there has worked in banking, as I understand. And I work in compliance with a Bitcoin ATM company that I do. We do AML KYC. We run OFAC checks. We are compliant with the Bank Secrecy Act of 1971, blah, blah, blah. And so coming from that sort of a background, there were so many red flags, and I just struggle to see how someone that's worked in anti-money laundering, that's worked in that's filed suspicious activity reports, that understands, how these systems work, how wire fraud works, etc., could be complicit or move forward or throw aside or whatever with everything, that had begun popping up. And mind you, there were, even since 2015, criminal investigations that had opened up, or at least inquiries, certainly, that had opened up in Finland and Sweden and Norway later, in Austria, then in 2016 in Germany. IMS had, their members in Germany had been, held and questioned and detained. And IMS had come from Frank Ricketts. But the thing is that so many of these leaders that were involved in this from the beginning were serial scammers. It's not just one or two things. Frank Ricketts, what concerns me is with Frank Ricketts, for instance, with OPN, which he worked with Sebastian with Insight Talk and things like this. When OPN, finally folded because there was no new money coming in to pay out existing investors, they told everybody that, all of the members, that essentially they're going to do the same thing that Bikeaway is doing. And there's just a lot of similarities there. And so that's specifically what they said, because OneCoin partnered with a number of different collapsed Ponzi scams. Bonifo was one of them. Bonifo's 3 principals were arrested in London, and 4 months later, they were now partnered with OneCoin. But with WeShares, with Univerteam, and particularly with OPN, what OneCoin had said is, hey, look, all of your losses, we're going to replenish them, and you're going to get the equal amount of whatever you invested, but in OneCoins. And in order to secure that, you just need to bring on, 2 tycoons. Now, with Bikoi, you guys are not a multi-level marketing company, so there's not that aspect to it. But in other ways, there are similarities. And as far as this, the $30 AML KYC fee, I mean, what our company pays for AML KYC is we pay, I think it's 12 cents to run an OFAC check to make sure that these people are not on any international criminal watch lists, no-fly lists, etc. And then we pay like 25 cents, I think it is, for the other AML KYC parts of that, and running through massive databases, hundreds of databases, maybe more, in order to identify that these are not suspicious players. So with that software being run on our back end for under $1 and it being pretty comprehensive, where does a $30 fee come in? Because I mean, if you just had 1/10 or 5% of the network, that's still maybe 100,000 people. That's, you do the math, $30 times 100,000 is pretty significant.
Okay, Tim, if I may step in, nice nostrils, very good camera. We have very limited costs. We don't run a check against a database. We actually use Jumio, and that is a legitimate cost. You can check it, and it runs against Acuity. And I have very, very real costs in terms of what I need to do in terms of EU law. So if you would like to engage me afterwards in terms of how that fee is made up, you are more than welcome to do it.
I mean, that should be open to a Jumio platform. I could look that up myself, correct?
You can look at it yourself. You are more than welcome to see what we do. Take contact privately. Okay? Again, don't attack me like you did on LinkedIn. I will unblock you, and we will take it further. And I will explain it to you. I have
that conversation up right now. I'm not gonna show it or do anything like that. But it was rather innocuous, and it was kind of a warning and a what's up, and why is this going on? OneCoin has the tendency to instill in all of its members to stay away from any negativity. How did they perpetrate such a indoctrination, and even at the highest levels of people that have been respected in the banking community, for instance?
Okay, for instance, OneCoin is a cult. All right, you refer back to compliance. I work for Africa's biggest bank. All right. Now, we were frequently criminally tried for doing everything from paying ransoms to pirates to whatever. No organization, in terms of where I come from, is completely clean. So, in terms of that environment, God, what are you drinking? It looks amazing.
It's a big water. It's a big ice water. I'm in California, so it's hot.
Okay, I have one. All right. Okay. So anyway, banking and compliance is never ever corporate, is never ever completely clean. I'm South African. I come from an environment where things were always dodgy. We were always pushing the boundaries, and things in Bulgaria just kind of fitted the bill. As I said, OneCoin is a cult. You go in, you fall in love, and it's very hard to fall out of love.
But before you fall in love, the issue is really due diligence. And as a professional, for me, I guess I have a crypto background, so I mean, things popped up instantly, and I just knew, like, literally within 3 minutes that it was a scam. And then the video on mining just solidified that. And when I became active was after that that meeting, and then after the fake Forbes cover that showed me that this could be dangerous, and that's what probably instigated a lot of us to start paying more attention to this.
Okay.
But the Bitcoin thing, Sebastian's background, Frank's background. I mean, even Juha has history in this. The way that commissions and partnerships were struck together. I mean, it's not just one or two things. It was constantly for a while. It was every week something new was happening. There was a new investigation, a new partnership, some more shady stuff. And particularly, what the most shocking thing is from anyone in that knows anything about finance was the coin rush in 2016 in June, in which it was announced that the coins would be doubled. And the supply would go from 2.1 to 120 billion, which was executed on October 1st, while Ruja stood on stage and in front of a looping Shutterstock video and did this. And these were things that we've been publishing since the beginning, and putting them out there, and we would just get blocked, called names, threatened, lawsuits, legal threats, all kinds of this stuff. And nothing that we've ever said has ever been disputed. The company's never addressed it. The only thing the company ever addressed was that Bjorn was never involved with him. And then shortly thereafter, the GDPR or whatever is that GDPR? Is that what that is, Jen?
Yes.
Yeah, and so Essentia had to, publish something that they were, that they did contact him, and that and that destroyed OneCoin's official statement. And so many of those official statements had been just completely destroyed. So it's like one thing after another. It tends to bring one to the belief that OneCoin had a limitless bucket of money and would pay for people to look the other way. That's the logical deduction.
Okay, to an extent, at some point in the near future, you and I will have a beer. I will explain the Bjorn story and just how that turned out.
Yeah.
Background.
I would be interested to hear the Bjorn story as well, because we were all at the same time. We all went through that together. The level of threats that we've received through highlighting this. So, Duncan, I would be interested to hear that as well.
Okay,
Tim, if I just jump in and ask a question here in case I forget. There's something that I wanted to ask. Jan-Erik, it's to yourself, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's all good. You ask away.
Hi there.
Hi.
Speaking to Dorothy and catching up in the webinars that you've done, I have seen them previously. There's a statement that you made that when you said that, when was it that you realised this wasn't right?
Well, I can recap the story for Lynn and also for Tim, because I know that would be useful for them to hear. First of all, I'm Swedish. I have 28 years background in sales and network marketing. I worked successfully in ACN, in American Telecommunication. It's a telecom company based in the US. You probably know it if you are in the US. I became a regional vice president and a senior vice president there, selling tangible, viable subscriptions to phone customers in Sweden and all over Europe. So, we built a customer base of 750,000 customers, but then they didn't keep their promise to me. So I kind of left the network business and decided to go behind the scene to kind of see where things are headed with systems and IT, because I was always interested in IT. Even though I'm not a programmer, I'm pretty clever. So I dug into that. So I know obviously Frank Ricketts personally really well. When I saw the court documents that he had been flooding hundreds of millions of euros through his IMS company and his wife, I was, almost ready to die, because I was like thinking, what the fuck are you doing, Frank? This is just not right. I came into the whole One Life thing because I was a part, not a networker per se, but I had a position in this OPN SciTalk thingy that Tim was talking about. So, and obviously I was not instigating that. I wasn't promoting it. I was just a part of it because they asked me to build a cashback platform back in the days, which I did. More like Quidco and Ebates that you have in the US. Very legitimate. But obviously I had my concerns about the background of the whole setup and the company. But then, big boss talk and big bosses speak, and they kind of lead people in the right direction. So when this whole one thing and this whole Ruja thing came together in January of 2016, I put my ass on a plane to London, and I actually requested a meeting with Ruja. I'm not going to call her a doctor because she's too stupid to be a doctor. But in any case, I met her with a friend of mine from Wales, a friend that actually I made win in a Wales court over the government because he got allegedly accused of being in a Ponzi scheme with products that has no value, and the whole shebang, the whole standard stuff. So I was there as a witness in court and proved the judges and everyone else wrong because it actually had a value. So I brought my friend with me, and we sat with Ruja for 5 minutes, and I asked her a few questions, and I got this really bad feeling in my stomach, like, what is she talking about? I don't know cryptocurrency or blockchain technology because it was kind of new for me. I just heard about Bitcoin. But the answer she gave was like, oh yeah, we have a centralized mining park in the office. And it's like, what are you talking about? Centralized mining? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I'm not blockchain, but I had a bad feeling. I never signed anyone up. My friend, he joined, but I said, I'm sorry, join, but don't talk to anyone about this shit, because and he didn't, and I didn't either. So I stayed in the background, and I was telling everyone that, when is this coin going to be usable? Where is the freaking blockchain? Oh yeah, it's there and it's here, and so I didn't basically do anything for a couple of years until Duncan called me and told me, this Dealshaker platform sucks. And I said, well, I haven't actually been there, but it looks pretty shady, if you ask me. Can we build something else? And I said, well, it depends on how much money they want to spend. But, before I talk about that, I need a contract. My company needs a contract. And in that contract that I have in my hand, it stipulates very clearly, the first point is that they have to provide API, application protocol interface, to their blockchain, where someone is doing something or buying or selling or the whole thing. That was the number one thing, and this was back in May 2018. So they eventually signed the agreement, even though that company doesn't even exist anymore because they probably terminated it to hide some money. We started working, me and my guys. I had an Indian team at that point. I still have an Indian team. And we had, I had worked with this platform because it's like a CMS platform, standard plugins, standard stuff. But we had to modify it, obviously, to adapt to their whole voucher technology, their whole voucher thinking. So we worked for about a month and a half until I was in, end of July last year, and I asked again Duncan and Sophia and whoever I could get a hold of, this Krum Angelo, or whatever his name was. Where is the APIs? And we need APIs. I need access to the blockchain. This is not going to work. Well, there's it's taking time, and I'm like, what is taking time? Like, finally in mid-August, I get to talk to the IT. Stanislav something was his name. And he gave me this horror story that he just started in June of 2018. He took over from someone that left, called Momshi or whatever he was babbling about.
Yeah, that was interesting. What was his name, the one that left?
Momshi. I don't know his full name, but probably Duncan knows the name. Momshi something. But the point is, he told me this story, and I said to him, because I've been around IT long enough to understand that you need to host a repository code storage. You need to have documentations on, your interface and how things are working and all the flows in the systems. And anyone knows that who knows something about IT. But they had nothing. And he said, I don't have anything. I mean, everything is gone. This guy, he just basically deleted it. And then I got really bad feeling. And I called Duncan and I said, this is terrible. This is bad. I mean, you need to tell this to Konstantin, because, and I think in my head, because I never directly spoke to Konstantin, Konstantin is pretty not smart. I mean, he's not stupid, but he's pretty not smart. He's not intelligent. I mean, but he is like, believes what someone else tells him. And obviously in the office, there was no sister. There was someone else. I don't know what, Veselin or whoever was there telling him, oh, no, they have control over it. I could see this play out, because what I got a week later was their entire source code of the whole system. They sent me like a 4 terabyte freaking Dropbox link, which was like crazy. It took hours to download. And then they told me, the guy told me, well, I think you should figure it out, because the APIs are in the system, he said. And I said, what? I mean, there's millions of lines of codes here. We can't do anything with this. Well, you have to figure it out, he said, in a bad English, Bulgarian accent. And I took then one of my Russian IT gurus that I worked with in several other projects, and I told him, can you analyze this crap that I have here in my hand, which was then end of August last year. And he spent about 2 months digging into the code, trying to understand how things work. And the only conclusion he came up with is, this is a closed system. I cannot do anything without any real access to their system. And during the same time, I was asking Duncan, who was asking Konstantin, we need access. But they never gave any access. And I said, eventually, mid-November, I said, we need to launch this platform, the new Dealshaker platform, because, we've been working on it and it's there, but we can't launch because there's no coins, there's no blockchain, there's nothing. So then they suddenly send me the database of the whole user database in OneLife. Every single person who holds coins and whatever they had in cash accounts. And I was like, now I was really scared, because it was 40.5 million euros in cash accounts. I told Duncan, we cannot do this. I mean, they have to back it up somehow, because if we start trading on the platform and people use the money that doesn't even exist, where are we going to get the money from? I mean, who is going to fund this? Because remember, New Dealshaker was something instigated by Konstantin to Duncan, and it was set up in Ireland as a new entity, basically eventually rebranded to give a new name to something that actually had a blockchain. But I was there. And I told Duncan, this is not real, And in January, I really got the final statement in my head that they don't have a blockchain, because they don't give APIs, they don't give access. They gave access to their test servers, and my guys started trying to build interfaces. And the only thing they were manageable or able to do was build an intermediate service to sign up people in OneLife, but still no blockchain. And I told Duncan, this is bad. This is like, they don't have a blockchain. I mean, meaning there is no blockchain. But I couldn't prove it, obviously, because they hadn't given me any access. But they, on the other hand, haven't given me any access to anything that could say that there was a blockchain. And then suddenly Konstantin was arrested. And I told Duncan, this is bad, because now we have no one telling anyone in Sofia that you need to do something. You need to let these guys in. But in the meantime, my programmer still had access to the repository code storage at Atlassian, it's like GitHub, which everyone knows who do programming. And he had access there and obviously saw what they were doing. Every single line of code that they were changing, he saw. But I told Duncan in secrecy, obviously no one knew this. No one, not even Dorothy. It was only me, a few of my Russian programmers, and Duncan. And I said, we need to.
Janet, did you take screenshots of that GitHub? No,
it's called Atlassian. Yes, I have a few actually, where you can see, where you can see the code has changed. Where the blockchain script is 3 lines of codes. But anyway, I can send you that later. The point is,
yeah.
but that was not now. That was not in February when Konstantin was arrested. That was in May when the whole shitstorm happened. But the point is, I told Duncan, we need to set up some, either we leave this stuff now and we go to work for PayPal or something and forget about it, or we try to save people somehow. And I'm telling somehow because I knew that 150,000 euro had been used in One Life cash accounts on the DealShaker platform, on our platform. And we never got those money. We never get, they never paid us anything. So we need to pay that out. And in order for us to pay that out, well, what can we do? Are we going to ask them for money, or are we going to give a real solution, a real cryptocurrency? And Duncan was like, well, how do you do that? Well, I mean, anyone can set up a cryptocurrency. You just have to, make sure it's open source, it's transparent, it's not something fancy, some idiot script somewhere that you can buy online for 490 euro. It needs to be something real. And we obviously looked at several open source blockchain technologies together with our programmers. And then we decided for multi-chain, because we decided that. That's what we did. And in the background, we set that up and tested it and ran, several things in the background. And the reason we did that was because we wanted to try to build a Noah's Ark for people that when this collapses, which it will do, just like Lynn pointed out, eventually this will die. It doesn't matter how long they try to promote it. And then what are people going to do? Well, we at least gave someone some hope. That's what, not to make a shitload of money, because people are talking about 30 euro, like that's a big deal. Yeah, sure, that's a big deal. We have a lot of costs. So, and Jumio rightfully charged about $4.50, even though they would never tell you that they charge you $4.50, but they do that for every KYC. And Eculite charge about £1, and yeah, there's other costs. But the point is, we set it at 30 euro just to have something to back the whole 150,000 euro shebang from One Life up, because they were never going to pay us. And obviously this happened in the background. Time was spinning, and then we came to end of April, and I told my guy, listen, we need to do this now. This has to happen, and we're going to start applying for a real cryptocurrency trading license in a European country, which then was Estonia, and we have been awarded a real license to trade any cryptocurrency that we see fit in Estonia. And obviously to store fiat and cryptocurrency in a wallet service. And that's also being done, the final phases. But I asked my guy, Alex, can you go into the Atlassian account and see what they're doing? Because we suddenly got an email now from Sofia saying, oh, please, can you let our guys in to New DealShaker so they can connect it to the blockchain? And I'm like, what the fuck? What blockchain? So I ask my guy to log in, and he take a screenshot, and I can see that they have, committed 5 lines of code here, 4 lines of code there, 100 lines of code there, and I'm like, this is just rubbish. They have, tried to make something look like an exchange, which they still are, with their MySQL database moving numbers from, back and forth, because the database that we got was obviously not a blockchain. It was just a database, a MySQL database of numbers. And in my head, I'm not stupid, and even though I'm not a programmer, I saw right away, this is just bullshit. And then I wrote this. Yeah.
About a long-running script. Were you talking about a blockchain simulator?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, that's what it is. It can't be anything else, 5 line on code. That, and again, if you look at the court documents, which you probably read at the allegations against Konstantin, I don't know which page it is, but I read it somewhere where like defendant 1 or plaintiff 1 and 2 are talking, which is Sebastian and Ruja. Yeah, we have this script, the fuckers can, look like it's real. And of course it is. We didn't see that email back in 2015, and no one else did. But, I had my, inklings and feeling. But when I saw that, I told Duncan, this needs to be sent out. I'm writing a 5-page document here about all this shit and this whole story, not super specifically, but specifically enough for people to understand. And then all hell breaks loose, obviously, because we didn't tell anyone we had build or set up a blockchain or did this or that. They were just furious. oh, you know, you don't want to sign a confidential agreement. You don't want to let our people into your system. And I said, no, fuck no. I'm not going to let anyone into our system. You're like a bunch of idiots, all of you. So, you know, that's kind of the last thing I said to her. And obviously she never replied to any mail after that. And this was in the beginning of May. So that's kind of the...
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I do have a question. We mentioned this guy Munchin or Munchel or whatever his name is.
Munshi. What was his name, Duncan? He's muted.
Okay. Munchel Angelov. He was in charge of IT. He set up the original One Life system.
And he's dead.
Where is he?
He's dead.
He's dead.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know.
Well, no one has seen him since. We think Bulgarian mafia is...
Well, the question I have is the story went that some individual left and took all of the stuff with him.
Yeah, correct.
The API, would that be what he took?
Well, yes, it did. No, not the APIs, because they never had APIs. No, he destroyed the repository code storage. I mean, if you leave as a programmer, normally you don't have access to delete or commit delete changes in GitHub or Atlassian. They use Atlassian. You can't. But he obviously was the IT boss, so he deleted probably most of it or all of it. So no one knew what anyone else had been doing. So it's like basically taking over an airplane, you know, with the jet engines, and the only thing you know is how to do mechanics on a motorcycle. So it's like, what the hell? Jet engine, what's that?
Leads to another question. When the raid took place and they went in and they got the servers and stuff, is there any possibility that any of that was backed up that didn't get deleted?
No.
No.
That's for sure. Because I asked him that. I asked the new guy that, and he said nothing. I don't have anything. He said he was frustrated as well. Obviously, I mean, I can't blame him. But I think in Bulgaria, when you pay someone a couple of thousand euro, whatever he's getting, that's a lot of money for someone in Bulgaria because it's the poorest country in the European Union. So, you know, he was happy working there, and but I had some really tough talks with him. I even recorded some of them because he acted like a complete jerk, you know, like an idiot, like trying to undermine my intelligence. I mean, I said, you don't have anything because you don't know anything. Oh, well, it's very complicated system.
Yeah,
not that good English though, but you know,
yeah.
That's so yeah. So I had my you know, bad feeling, which I obviously conveyed to both Duncan and he to Konstantin. But at the same time, you know, I was not a believer in that. But the believers in the office and everyone else was the believers, and they thought it was existing. Like it's like, yeah, fucked up. So we didn't.
Why, in your opinion, did they not implement something?
Well, it's complete. Yeah, I think, Tim, if you think, I mean, you know, blockchain technology, you cannot.
Yeah, it's basically the short answer is it's impossible to.
Yeah, it is. You can't backdate that. I asked the same question to my guy, which is a really serious Russian, you know, hacker, high level, and I said, can you do it? And he said, yes, you could go and recreate transactional data which simulates a blockchain back in time, but you can never do it in a real blockchain. That would be impossible. So if they would set up, which I think they are trying to do, or trying to fix something, you know, because that's why they're delaying everything, and they're trying to do something that looks like it's real, even though it's not. But to simulate that back in time, it's impossible. I mean, there's so much people who, I mean, they don't have coins here and they lost it here. I mean, they even freeze people out. Like, come on, what is this? It's like, yeah, well, you already know, Tim. You saw the video, so you've done that and been there. So
I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. I really do. It was helpful.
Yeah. No, please. Listen again, Lynn. Any questions you have, you are more than welcome to contact me privately, and I will answer them.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, Duncan. I've got John Walsh, blockchain specialist, would like to come on now and have a few questions. So, John, the platform's yours. Yeah, unmute.
It's me.
There you are. There, John.
Hopefully you can hear me. So my name's John. I'm a blockchain specialist, I suppose. I don't like using the word expert. I've helped companies understand what blockchain is, I'm pretty high up within kind of cryptocurrency. I have a good understanding. So I really wanted to, I'm ignoring the kind of OneCoin stuff. You guys have covered that enough from my perspective. I'm interested to know about this Noah's Ark coin, as you've referred to it. And I just want to know how you anticipate it can help the people who've lost money in OneCoin. Just could you walk me through that briefly? We don't need to do technicals. I just want to understand the kind of strategy with it.
Well, okay. I think it's, well, I think I should speak, Duncan, because, you know, technically, obviously, you already know everything about multi-chain. It's there, it's open source, and you can read about it. But, you know, our philosophy and thinking is that we issue 120 billion coins as an asset, and we give it for free to anyone who has OneCoins as a gift, even though they pay the 30 euro KYC. But then they will be able to trade it against other cryptocurrencies on a legitimate European exchange. Now, as you probably don't know, but I will tell you, OneLife and the whole One Group is a community of its own. So they don't let in anyone else. I mean, you cannot have an outside speculative investor who wants to trade cryptocurrency going into any of their platforms, even though it's not real. But even though it would be real, they wouldn't allow it. But in our case,
what gives the, but the question is, what gives the coin that you're creating any value?
No, it doesn't give any value unless it's traded on the platform, which it will be. And obviously, we have other external people who wants to buy and sell and trade our currency, including everything else. It's like any other cryptocurrency. I mean, normally you do an ICO and you know put a value and you bring money in, but we didn't want to do that because our objective here is not to bring in money to ourselves or to the company or anyone else. It's to give a coin that can be traded for real fiat currency, even if it's a cent or 5 cents or 20 cents or whatever it would be.
So what is its opening value?
We cannot set that, as you probably understand. As a company, we cannot. But we already have indications from several external investors who wants to go in and buy. And obviously, it's the matter of who wants to sell and the price they want to sell for. But I seriously doubt that any of the larger OneCoin people is going to sell for 1 cent or 2 cents. But I wouldn't be surprised if it dropped to maybe 30 cents or 20 cents, whatever, the first week.
And is this a 100% pre-mined coin?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and what's the consensus algorithm?
The consensus is between the users. We have a global administrative consensus mechanism for changing any smart filters in the system. So 10 people needs to be in consensus to change any of the transactional fees, because that's the only thing they can change, which is 1% currently.
So is that what, proof of authority, proof of stake? I'm not quite.
No, it's proof of authority. You and I decide to trade or send it in between us. Then the mining happens in the blockchain. It doesn't have to be anyone else outside. There is no mathematical.
How are transactions verified? So how are transactions verified?
By you and me, obviously, in the blockchain.
So what's to prevent fake transactions being put through?
What is a fake transaction?
I say that you've transferred to me 40,000 of these coins, and I get other people to verify that.
No, you and I have to verify the transaction with our private keys. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. So, and the only one who has
private key needs to sign for. So the private key signs to receive keys as well. Is it to receive coins as well?
No, only sending. So
okay. So how do I verify that money's being sent to me?
You will see that in the Explorer, in your blockchain, in your wallet. Obviously, you can see that's completely public and transparent.
But it can't happen unless it's been verified by the blockchain. I don't receive my Bitcoin until that transaction's been verified at least once.
Yeah, well, every 10 seconds there is a mining algorithm. Have you read our white paper? Because you seem very technical. It's 24 pages. You're very welcome to read that, because you're talking about.
I'll read it. I'll get someone to send it to me. No, I haven't, and no, I haven't. And the honest truth is, no, I'm not technical at all. I just understand blockchain and cryptocurrency. So,
well, I'm not technical at all, to be honest, either. But there is a white paper there you can read.
So, can your company override a transaction? Can you?
Nope. We don't have any access.
Okay.
We don't store any private keys. We have an what's called a 1,000 iteration hashing algorithm thing for passwords that changes every second. So yeah, I mean, my guys are Russian hackers. I can tell you, trying to break in there and do something. They actually come from one of the blockchain companies that build exchange and blockchains in Russia. So.
And what is so before I move on to the exchange, what is your coin effectively a utility coin or a security coin?
Well, when it goes live, that's something that Gary, our lawyer, would have to answer. But I would suspect it would be a security when it launches, obviously, because it has a value. I'm not the lawyer, so Gary, do you have any more insight in this?
Yes, it's a utility coin because it's going to be used on our Ovid.ie trading platform, which is very much like Amazon.
So what is the purpose? What is the utility of the coin then?
It's to basically trade products and services on our trading platform.
And
so,
what are the products and services? Give me some examples.
Well, it's very much like Amazon. It's you know, you could probably buy earrings, you know, hair dryers. It's going live in a few weeks' time, and you'll be able to see some examples then. But all sorts of products.
So you've got a site that only takes one currency, and that's your currency. Is that correct?
It doesn't take.
No. It takes Bitcoin. It takes
Bitcoin,
cryptocurrencies, and fiat currency.
Yeah. John, with all due respect, could you read the white paper and check out our sites before you come and ask us questions, please?
With all due respect, I can ask a few questions and they can be answered politely and respectfully. And I can go through the white paper, but the white paper is a marketing tool. So I'm not going to take everything that I read in a white paper at face value. I've read hundreds of white papers. I've worked on white papers. I know what the purpose of them is.
Well, if we haven't written it in a marketing perspective, I can tell you that. When you read ours, it's going to be very boring and dull and very technical.
That's fine. Don't mind answering questions. Go ahead. It's fine.
So, quick question on the exchange. You say that you're registered or regulated by Estonia. Is that correct?
We have applied for a license in an Estonian entity, and we have been awarded 2 licenses: one to trade cryptocurrency against fiat, and one to store fiat and cryptocurrency, which call a wallet license. And we are fully regulated by the Estonian, which is inside of the European Union.
So I'm pretty au fait with Estonia and their e-passport and everything that they've been doing around crypto and blockchain. So my question is, what hurdles have you had to jump through or jump over in order to be awarded this? What have you had to prove? What have you had to demonstrate? What have you had to show?
Well, first of all, we have we had to submit CBRs for Duncan, who is the director, obviously, for every single country where he holds a passport, which is Ireland and South Africa, and even
so that's a criminal background check, right?
Yeah, correct. Extensive criminal background check, and also CVs, obviously. Now, Duncan was the first person that was not required to fly to Estonia to be interviewed by the police, for the very simple reason that he was being checked up by the police, in South Africa and every other place he had worked previously. Which is, the lawyers were saying this never happened before. Normally you have to go there, you have to go through a lot of things. And we believe it's, we know obviously, is because Duncan called his employer and asked them, and they couldn't give any higher credits to anyone working there ever. So to sum up, basically the hurdles that we had to jump through was criminal background checks. Yeah, and CVs, you have to pay for the license, obviously. You have to show a 35-page AML and KYC policy with integrations to Acuity and Jumio to flag people for PEP. There are 4 risk groups. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. And technically, obviously, we have to abide by a lot of rules and regulations set up by them. Yeah.
Okay. I'll let you in on another little secret. I formerly worked for a South African regulator. Some of my colleagues will now work for the South African Reserve Bank. They vouched for me. That's how it was so easy.
Wow. Okay. So just briefly then, the exchange itself, is anything, how far into the build are you?
We are we are about 2 weeks to first beta tests from today, approximately. Okay. Yeah.
Do you? Is there a complete team? Like, am I able to see completely who the team is, from the CTO, the CEO, the CFO? Am I able to get access to see what their backgrounds are, who they are, and verify all that? Is that possible?
You mean today? Well, no.
No, not today. I mean in general, like before you go to public launch.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah. We have nothing to hide. I have nothing to hide. I mean, I live in Marbella. I lived there 14 years. I have nothing to hide. You know, even though
I make a request then? Can you guys speak to? There is a website called Cointelligence.com. They rate and rank exchanges based on certain criteria, or that criteria is open. Speak to them. You'll need to be very, very transparent with them. They will go through. And if they think that you have a really good exchange, they will, like Gemini sits at the top as the top exchange there. I think that even Coinbase is like 3rd or 4th in there. So, you know, it's a high bar, but if you get in high and you think you've got a really good exchange, then go and talk to them, and they will do their thing and basically due diligence you, and then rank you and rate you. And if you're not great, then they'll say that too. And they can't be paid off. They can't be bought off. It's a very, very good site, a very trusted site. And I would strongly suggest that if you, from a credibility standpoint, go and check them out.
It's like Trustpilot.
We're quite happy to do that, but we are a brand new exchange. I don't know how we would rank as a brand new exchange on that.
No.
It's not based. It's based on your transparency over all the information that you hand over in terms of who the team is, their background, their credibility, the tech that it's built on, all this sort of stuff.
Okay.
All right. Cool. Look, I think I'm pretty much done here. Tim has a level of understanding that's as high as mine, in other areas much higher. I don't know whether Tim wants to ask any other questions about the coin or the exchange.
If I can interject, I have a couple brief questions to go over that are in the same lines. So you determined that 120 billion would be the number of Bitcoin that would be produced. Obviously, that's a massive amount. As high as Ripple is, there's only a few cryptocurrencies on CoinMarketCap that even have that sort of distribution. My questions would be, what are, if any, the founders' stake in that in the distribution as far as percentage-wise? Are you planning on burning tokens? If so, how many? How do you mitigate the vulnerability of a pump and dump? And along the lines of that last question specifically, is there any vetting process? And by the way, I had a call come in while during the last 5 minutes, so you may have covered some of this or not. I apologize if so. But in terms of the mitigation of vulnerability for a pump and dump kind of process, what is the vetting process for trading OneCoins into or mirroring them into Bitcoin? In other words, how many will carry Walrus Skin?
Well, I think our general, obviously, the legal standpoint is that the day we go live on an exchange, we cannot trade any OneCoins for anyone anymore. So that's the standpoint from the company's side. But obviously, we have been discussing how we could carry this forward. You know, could we give this as a gift to a charity or someone, or outside of our control? And we have obviously decided that we want to do that. Whether it's I don't know whoever it should be that could carry on that conversion thing, because whether the value is 1 cent or 10 cents or 5 cents or next year or 1
or 20
euro,
satoshis or whatever, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what it is. The point is, there is still an opening door for the victims of OneLife and OneCoin that feel that that they lost money, which obviously everyone did, except the top networkers who made a shitload of money in commissions, but probably not got all the money paid out. So, my point of view is I don't care. We don't have a vested interest. I have I have pre-mined 10,000 coins to the founders. That's what they have. Even Gary, that they don't have more, they don't have less.
Founders have 10,000 each, 10,000
yes.
total.
Yeah, that's what they have.
Okay.
Can I just say that all the new coin holders will be screened by Acuity and Jumio Software?
Yeah, no, he heard that.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether he was on the call for the last 5 minutes.
No, he understands the process there, Gary, I believe, and that was not the question. But so that's and again, that's not why we are doing this. Like I said, I could do 1,000 other things, but I feel so bad for the people that I actually met who put money in and felt this excitement. Because I've been in network marketing for 28 years. I know how that works, but they put in. And I can't even understand how people could put in that much money, because I didn't put in a cent. They gave me some trader pack or whatever, so I have a few coins. But in my head, like you, Tim, also reacted, this is not real. So, and for me, I was very suspicious because she didn't reply, this Ruja crazy woman, to my questions the way I would understand an intelligent person to, or someone with knowledge about blockchain technology. She didn't answer my questions. So why do other people invest? Well, obviously it's network marketing. And in network marketing, it's your friend, it's your cousin, it's your brother, it's your sister telling you how fantastically good this is. And so, yeah, I feel sorry for that.
Or your church leader, for instance, in
Uganda.
Yeah,
correct. Yeah, correct. I mean, I'm not religious. I don't go to church, but I don't mind if people do that. But I believe in energy, so. But anyway, it is what it is. So, and pump and dump, we don't have any resources to do anything like that, and that would be also completely illegal for us to try to go in and pump and dump, and we can't. I mean, we don't hold those funds.
You don't have that much coins to affect it, anyways.
No.
But Kerry Walrus would have 50 million coins.
Yeah, if he converted his coins, probably. I don't know if he has. I haven't looked, to be honest. But
okay,
would probably have some coins, yeah.
So if I'm a top scammer leader in this organization, then it's completely open. I can come in there, I can get, I can trade in my 50 million Kerry Walrus coin, have Bitcoin. How does that work?
No, the scammer cannot. Kerry Walrus needs to be the one converting his coins, because you need.
That's what I'm saying. Kerry Walrus can.
Yeah, he can. Correct, yeah. But that is in the blockchain and in Bitcoin. But obviously, if he's going to start trading as Kerry Walrus, then there's going to be a lot of red flags going up everywhere. What the hell is this?
So you're AML KYCing the wallets?
Well, in theory they do, because Bitcoin and the exchange is going to be connected. Yes.
Yes, we do. We do KYC the wallets because we do Jumio and Acuity.
Yeah. So we're gonna.
Are there going to be decentralized, open source, permissionless wallets in the wild, or is that the level of centralization that you guys are controlling? I mean, did you open source the wallet software, or?
Now, are you talking for our own coin or in general, or what?
Just for the wallet. So, in other words, if I want to hold Bitcoin in my wallet, are you my only source or wallet, or can other wallets integrate that? And if they do,
currently you can't, but you will be able to do that, because we are building.
So if I'm Kerry Walrus, I could use a third party. I could come in there. I can immediately put up 50 million coins, even if they sell for 1 cent. That's $50,000 or something like that.
He's not going to be able to sell that much. There's going to be trading limits on that, obviously. We're not going to allow that to happen. But I don't know if 50 million coins for 1 cent is the real value of the coin, to be honest. I don't know if someone...
Right, market will obviously determine that.
Yeah, definitely. So
let's say that you have, before you launch on the exchange, you have memberships worth 20 billion coins. So you've converted 20 billion new one coins. What's the remaining balance in the total distribution or reserves, or how much, are you going to burn coins at that point, or what's the plan?
We haven't made the decision, but about 65 billion coins are supposedly in people's ownership in this one mess. And if everyone would convert, then that would be the number. So, but I can't verify that, to be honest. In the database that we have got, it's about 50 billion.
So you guys have seen about 65 billion.
Well, they talked about that, but I have seen almost 50 billion. Yeah, that's what I have seen.
Okay.
But I don't know who they are. We just have usernames and
we can't assume that those actually go to anyone necessarily, though, because based on the distribution now, that's 50,000 coins every minute. Those are just I mean, obviously they're not coins anyways, but those points have nowhere to go.
No.
This isn't 2016, which, there was an 18-month period between 2015 and 2016 where 85% of the revenues that OneCoin brought in was captured during that time. Now we're in the, dwindling 15% in the last 2.5 years.
Well, I don't think they sell
and it's just flatlining.
Yeah, I don't think they sell anything anymore. I mean, honestly, I think they are funded by some lawyer who controls some trusts, who controls some of the assets and shit that this idiot person has bought. That's what I think being funding, and they are just playing it, for the show, to have a show that goes on, and maybe
right. So clearly, they're going to do. The people behind the curtain are going to do the same thing that they did, or at least attempt to, that was done with OneCoin. OneCoin started as Bitcoin. Sebastian moved over the database, which was called CoolStack, implemented it into OneCoin, and 3 months after leaving Bitcoin, they launched OneCoin. They conglomerated a bunch of broken and collapsed Ponzi scams and did the same thing. So there had to be a lot of marketing money that went into that even prior to the signups. And so now OneCoin and the people behind it have $4.5 to $7 billion that a portion of that certainly is going to be used to do the same thing, whether it be Cloud Horizon, whether I've heard that a lot of like Yuha and some of the guys that made a lot of money were helping fund projects like the Russian one, and I'm not going to confirm or deny this. Lynn, you know which one I'm talking about, Belarus. Anyways, and some other projects. So this is just going to keep happening and happening.
Probably, but we never made any money on funding any shit things, for sure. That's not what we are.
Yeah.
How were consultants, contractors, attorneys paid? Were they paid through different shell companies? I mean, certainly One Life or One Network Limited wouldn't have been the primary, payee.
No. It came from different companies in Europe, and obviously the contract that I had with that company, that doesn't exist anymore. They closed that down. So they're trying to sue me for stealing something that this company gave me. So I don't know how that's going to go for them, but obviously that's not going to happen.
Did OneCoin Limited ever write any checks to anyone?
No, never ever.
Not as far as we know.
Right.
Well, this is obviously a legal mess, and like Lynn said, to try to recoup all the money that's been transferred, I hope that will happen eventually, even if it takes 5 years. But we're not going to sit around and see people kill each other over, helping their cousin to invest money in something. If we actually can build something that is sustainable, even if it's going to give them a cent back on the dollar or 5 cents, whatever, I don't care. I mean, I've been too long in this business, and I'm too old.
So I heard
shit
during after October of 2016 through the beginning of the next year, 2 of the top leaders kind of started graduating away from it. The two in particular, Ed Ludbrook and Edward Hartley. Do you have any insight? It seems like they did a lot of internal talking with management and things like that, and looking for the blockchain, looking to figure out whether this was real or not. Ed Hartley, actually, I'm not going to go into that.
Contact me offline. I will fill you in what happened there.
Do you have information on Ed Hartley?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and then as far as Ed Ludbrooke went, he kind of did, you know, a similar thing, got into blockchain, started the DAXI ICO, and it's just, I don't know. I'll just leave it at that. Okay, I will do that.
Okay, I will unblock you on LinkedIn and.
Okay.
I didn't know you
could.
I'm sorry, John. John again here. Just quick question: how is this exchange and new coin being funded? Where's the money coming from for that?
Well, you know, I don't know that it's a proper exchange. The messages that come out of Sophia are so confusing that I've given up even trying to read them. They talk about a central bank. There is no central bank in the world.
I think John is asking how we are funding it.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yes. How are you funding it?
You have to listen to the question, Duncan. You know, even if I'm Swedish.
I get passionate.
All right. I see that.
Well, it's okay.
Yeah.
So building a quality exchange is not a cheap thing. Starting a new coin should not be that cheap a thing either.
No.
So where is the funding coming from for this?
Well, yeah. Me and Duncan.
Okay, so and as I understand it, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, the coin itself is kind of non-profit for you. You're doing that as a kind of good thing, but the exchange you're hoping to make money out of, that's a profit-making venture. Is that correct?
Definitely. We haven't set the trading prices yet, or you know what and how they should. I've been looking at all of the big ones, Binance, you know, how they do it and how the other ones are doing it when people are trading, what the costs are. But you know, our strategy is trying to be better and less expensive, so to speak. You know, because I know they have their spread fees and all kinds of stuff that they're doing. So, but that has not been set in stone yet. It will be in the next week or so.
And will your coin be on any other exchanges outside of your coin? So will it be listed on Binance?
Well, we have got queries, and we're not going to reveal from who, but we have two exchanges actually who are willing to. One is in Europe and one is in outside of Europe, who wants to list our coin, but we haven't made an agreement with them yet, obviously. But we will definitely do that.
Is either of those exchanges LA token?
No.
No.
Okay, good. All right, cool.
One is actually started by a real celebrity, and it's not a joke even. So, but we will get back to you with that information because it's kind of a little bit secret. So, yeah.
I understand that. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your time and patience with my questions.
No worries, John. You're welcome.
I have one more question in terms of that, but I think Lynn might have a question as well. I'll try to make it quick if that's cool. Lynn, were you vying for a question?
Well, actually, I was just thinking over some things that have been said, and one of the things, if I heard it correctly, you guys are using multi-chain. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, I've been new to this cryptocurrency thing, and I'll be honest with you, Tim has given me a crash course in education on cryptocurrencies to get me somewhat up to speed. But what research we've been doing, multi-chain has been around for a long time, hasn't it?
Yes, it was started by Gideon Greenspan. He started Coin Science back in 2014.
Okay.
It's been around.
So this is a fork, or this is?
No, it is the real one. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're welcome to read the white paper as well, and you will understand how we set it up. We have nothing to hide, so.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out if there was something newer that would be.
No, the newer thing is that it's version 2.0, which came out in February this year. Actually, they updated a lot of stuff. So.
Okay.
Yeah. But that can be read. He has a huge blog, this guy, so you can read it about it there too.
Because I know a lot of companies are constantly jumping in the marketplace with newer and better stuff than what the older companies doing, and they're always trying to play catch up. So I wasn't sure if that was the situation or not. I appreciate the clarification. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries.
So you guys plan to have an ongoing dedicated team for software updates, this sort of stuff, I would assume?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so what is the contingency plan if the provenance of Buycoin and association that probably cannot be escaped comes from OneCoin? The solution that I see is that it provides OneCoin victims with an actual crypto that can be seen on the blockchain, that can be transferred. But outside of OneCoin victims, I mean, what is your contingency plan? What if there's no outside interest and it's just a club coin?
Well, we have obviously thought about it, but since we cannot legally go out and try to sell or market anything, since the coin is not been on an exchange, we can't really make any executive decisions or discuss that with anyone. But there is discussions going on several, marketing ways how to do this. So, but our hope is obviously that we can save as many people as possible. So
I see. Oh, sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to.
No, we even set up a system because of this call taking place today, and I asked my guys last week to set something up that we actually could give a discount of like whatever 20 euros or 25 euros for any coin victim that comes from Lynn or whoever controls that, and we give them some kind of code because we're not really interested in that 30 euro thing. We have costs, like Duncan said, but we obviously have a bigger heart to try to help people. That's the consensus of everything here.
So DealShaker will now be an Ovid platform, or the new DealShaker will be an Ovid platform.
Yes.
And you're getting rid of what is it called? Arranged shipping, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, we are implementing a system for tracking shipments, but there will be what we have integrated, which is different, is obviously Bitcoin as a payment method, and obviously Buycoin with a real blockchain,
right,
and fiat, and in any kind of mix or combination.
Right. If Buycoin becomes a Mickey Mouse dollar, just like Mickey Mouse bucks. And I'm not saying that with any disrespect whatsoever, but it works at Disneyland. It doesn't work outside of Disneyland. If that's the case, are you still committed to the project if there's not outside interest?
Yes, we are, for the very simple reason that the exchange has, as I already told you in the beginning, we have several investors who are willing to, who actually wants to buy coins from us, but we cannot sell them anything. I mean, that would be completely illegal. So we are referring them to the exchange, and I'm not talking about small players. I'm talking about cryptocurrency enthusiastic people. But what we also have is we have a marketing, as you already know, the old platform hosted over 5,000 registered merchant accounts, and 3,000 of them are basically active. Even though some of them might be shams or scams, there are several serious ones there, not selling gold or banana things or whatever, but serious things. And they have contacts with serious e-commerce shops that might struggle to get out to a crypto audience. So our strategy long-term would obviously be to market our platform to these types of people who hold maybe Big Book, which is a Norwegian clothing brand, H&M, I'm Swedish, Hennes & Mauritz. They don't reach these kind of people because they have no way of accepting cryptocurrency as payment. So that's kind of in our long-term plan when it comes to being more broader or wider, if you ask me.
How did vendors of gold, cars, and properties pass the AML KYC on the new DealShaker?
That's a good question. It was done locally by the so-called franchise holders. We don't have them anymore. We don't have those people anymore. So I don't know. I mean, we didn't check the gold people or those people. We just heard that.
We did. Just to go through it, they had to provide proof of a registered address, who they were, and their source of funds. And we famously kicked out one car dealer who immediately threatened to sue me. So,
yeah, well, I saw several Thai gold deals. We never saw any paper from them. But anyway, I mean, there was no restriction on setting up your account until you had to kind of get it approved. And how they did it is what they paid for the store and it was automatically approved. They tried to, people always try to bypass checks. And then it came to our attention. Obviously, we took it down immediately. So, but yes, there is probably a lot of fraudsters and scamsters everywhere. I mean, I bought on Alibaba, which, as you know, is a mega platform, some CBD oil from a company, and it went through Alibaba's fantastic payment check and all these riddles they have that you are secured when you're paying for the products. And I got the CBD oil, and it was hemp oil. There's no fucking CBD. I tested it in a lab. I have worked with acai juice for over 7 years, in Brazil, and I test shit when things come. There was nothing there. And what do you think Alibaba is going to give me? The biggest company on the planet. Fuck all. I got nothing back. They stole $1,100 and sent me hemp oil. So yeah, go Alibaba. So yeah, to be honest, we want to change the way people use cryptocurrency, and obviously it has to start somewhere, and this is where we start. So unfortunately,
when you say you want to change the way people use cryptocurrency, you're talking about making it a transactional currency.
Yes,
right?
correct, because it's an investment thing today, as you know, and most people are investing.
So there are outreach programs with like the Dash community, the Litecoin community, and Bitcoin Cash to do exactly just that as well. The difference is that merchants can, would accept it directly at their brick and mortar locations or online locations. What are you guys doing as far as doing things? How do you facilitate doing things off platform?
No, we have a plan for an app. Obviously, we've had that also since we started talking, and there is extensive UX and UI drawings on that. But that's the financing thing. Obviously, we cannot launch that without any more funding in the pace that we are right now. So we're taking one step, one foot before the other. Even though I wouldn't want to have it right away. But yes, an app. And obviously you as a merchant have an app or an address, and that's how it takes place.
Okay.
I want to shift gears just for a minute. I apologize, but I was looking at my notes and something jumped out. I forgot to ask earlier that would have been more pertinent at the time we were discussing. But one of the things that kept coming up that we've been struggling with was the relationship between Ravener Capital Limited, the London, I think they were based in London, and OneCoin, One Life, Ruja, and the principals that were involved in that. Are they interrelated to OneCoin somehow, and who those principals were? Do we know?
Yeah, well, I was the director of Ravener. My name's Gary. I'll put my camera on so you can see me.
Okay.
Can you see me? Hi, yeah. Yeah, I was the director of Ravener, and I engaged with a law firm, a very top silver tier law firm, who were giving us legal advice. We didn't really have any. There may have been a contractual relationship, a kind of consulting relationship, which we occasionally gave advice. I facilitated advice with this top tier law firm to give to One Network Services Limited, but we were really set up. Really to be a family office and to do private equity structures, and that's why I came on board. That never actually happened. We had a few consultants who were setting up funds in the office, and this went on for about 1.5 years until Rouge just disappeared overnight. I was due to sign. I've been only a mess about 4 times in my entire life, yeah, I was meant to be flying over there to see her. She just disappeared overnight. I left us with a lease of One Knightsbridge premises. But yeah, we were essentially set to get funded, do private equity structures and invest funds for either Ruja or some other member of her family. So that never really happened because we couldn't get money into the funds. We couldn't get clear money into the funds, so we just gave up in the end.
We've been left with debts as well.
Yeah, we've been left with premises of One Knightsbridge to continue. I mean, the lease continues, which is still, you know, I'm not technically liable, but as director, I feel as though we should pay those debts off.
Gary, who's the shareholders for Ravenard then?
A company called Ravenard Dubai.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so I never met the shareholders. I just took instructions from Ruja or occasionally other family members. So there was no real, you know, it was all, I mean, I was told when I came on board that it was all legitimate. I got to top tier law firms to look at them for 6 months and go through them with a fine-tooth comb. And yeah, I couldn't find anything wrong. There were no red flags according to the law firm. As I said, we weren't supporting OneCoin ourselves. You know, we were not there to support OneCoin. We were there to do private equity, and that never came off.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Does anybody?
Jen, you went on mute. You went on mute.
Pressing buttons. I shouldn't. Guys, do you have any questions? I know we have been asking a lot of questions, and just wondering if you have any questions also.
Okay, guys, I'm completely open. My private email address is duncan.arthur11, the number 11, @gmail.com. You are more than welcome to contact me.
Sorry, Duncan.
Arthur.
Arthur.
Yes, DUNCAN. ARTHUR 11 @gmail.com. Okay, please.
Thanks for
feel
that.
free to contact me.
Thanks, Duncan. Tim, Lynn, anyone else have any more questions?
Yeah, I have one. John Eric was listed as a CTO at SiteTalk. Did we speak much about that? The issues that I have is that figureheads and employees in these types of systems have traditionally seemed to move together. So this would have been John's involvement, even as a CTO with SiteTalk, would have given him direct exposure to both OPN and SiteTalk with Kenny Nordland, Frank Ricketts, and Sebastian Greenwood. And this would have given him a pretty solid history of what these guys were doing, how they were raising money, how the money was being spent and being moved, and why it collapsed, which is because SiteTalk and OPN, etc., were clearly Ponzi scams. It required new investor money to pay out existing investors. So how does one migrate comfortably in that space, or, you know, from one to the other? I mean,
no, I can explain. There is an answer to this whole thing. You are, I don't know if you're looking at some LinkedIn title of CTO in SiteTalk, but to be honest, I've never had any chief technical officer position in that company. The company and the system and the platform was built from a Hungarian company, and has always been. It still is, actually. The same platform is the platform that Frank uses in his new venture, which is called Crypto World something in Thailand. I don't know, they're doing something. But the only reason that I came in there was obviously to build a cashback platform. That was why I was originally and not me as a person, my company. And I built Cytok Cashback, which is like Quidco or Ebates, and that's what I was running. I wasn't running the Cytok platform or anything else. We were just interacting with Cytok platform. And now you're saying it's a scam, which is kind of interesting. Yes, but it wasn't started by Frank or Kenny. It was actually started by two Norwegian dudes that left. Arne Evensen and another crazy drunk Norwegian that I can't even remember the name of, because I met him once and he was so piss drunk, a big fat guy. And when I came in the first time, the first week I was there and I met him, he was so drunk he couldn't even talk to me. And I said to Frank and Kenny, "Is this the guy running the company?" And he said, "Well, yeah, he's going out, he's leaving now," and da 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 da. But I was there because they had shares that they had given out to all these people, in a company called GDS that is actually still listed on the Cyprus Stock Exchange. If you look it up, even though the value is 1 cent, they still have shareholders, about 92,000. And when Frank said, we need to build something, Jan Erik, that, we need to try to save these people because, we don't make money on Cytok. We need something, a product that we can make money on. And obviously Cashback.
Who said they want to save people? Sorry.
No, I said that,
okay.
Well, Frank said also, but obviously these two Norwegian dudes, they didn't care. And there was Sebastian's involvement. I never met him. I heard his name, but he had already quit before I started. I didn't really know him at all. Kenny just told me he's an idiot. He's a fucking idiot, this Sebastian. And that, again, made me a little bit surprised when they talked about One Life and OneCoin and Sebastian was involved, because I said, isn't he an idiot? But then obviously I'm not stupid. They moved the whole company. They got some kind of deal in the binary plan and made a shitload of money. And when I read the IMS document that Frank, washed money for them, I can see myself in his shoes. And, he made probably millions. I don't know, but probably he did. And then now he's moved on. But I haven't moved on. I'm still here trying to save people. So yes, Cytok was, was set up, I think, to hide the fact that this, it wasn't called OPN. You have to correct yourself. It was called Unico originally.
Unico, yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yes, because I know the story, because I saw it from the side, and I saw my old friend, Kenny, who had left me, in another company, and where I was in ACN actually, and I wasn't friends with him or his father, who is now dead. They left and set this Unico.
Thomas Nordland.
Yes, this is a scam. I said and obviously I didn't talk to him, but when they invited me and my company to build a real thing, a cashback platform, I said, yes, I can do that. I'm going to charge for it, but I can definitely do that because I know network marketing. I know how it should be integrated. How should the BV be calculated when people get cashback, yada, yada. And that's what I did. So you have to kind of see between the lines there. I wasn't any CTO of the whole thing. This guy name is, let me tell you his name. And his company, his name is
Dan Anderson.
No. He's an idiot. Not Dan Anderson. He's not technical. He's
Leo Coin.
Yeah, well, maybe I don't know. And the name of the guy in Hungary and who has built Cytok is called Endre Holman, and with an E, and he owns a company called what the hell is the company called? It's called Where is the email address for this guy? Thomas Balog. It's called www.dh.hu. That's their domain. www.dh.hu. They are the ones who actually built the system. Not the cashback, but the Cytok and the whole compensation plan, OPN, blah, 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 yada. But I was not involved in that, from a marketing perspective or as a CTO. Just so we're clear on that.
Okay, but I mean, we look at Unico and Cytok, which kind of merged and then introduced OPN, right? I mean, that's a fair way to describe it.
Yeah, but there was no coins there. You have to
right. But these are Ponzi schemes.
So yes, but they gave something. You have to understand. They gave something actually tangible, and there are 92,000 registered shareholders in Cyprus for the company called GDS Communication or something. And that company is listed, even though the value of the company is 15 million euros or something. It's nothing.
Was that the shell company that Ricketts bought when they were trying to launch Unico, and Pakistan had kicked them off of their exchange, and then they were able to launch in Cyprus. There was a big
No,
and then
the story goes like this. I wasn't involved in the company, but I heard the story. The story about that goes like this. Cytok Communication Incorporated is let's see here. It's a Cayman Island, I think. Yeah, it is Cayman Island company. Now, Cytok Communication was supposed to be listed as Cytok Communication on the London Stock Exchange. And obviously, some idiot from Norway, this drunk dude, I will remember his name soon, but on Evensen and this other, well, there was a group of Norwegians there. They spilled this to the network, and suddenly everyone started calling the London Exchange. And obviously, they didn't want to have anything to do with anyone related to Cytok. So it never kind of happened. So when Frank came in and these Norwegians were out, the only option he had left inside of the European Union was Cyprus, and not the big Cyprus list, but the small Cyprus list. How he did it? Not himself. He used some Cyprus, I don't know, broker company called Eurivex or Eurovex. They are the only one allowed to trade the shares, but you can actually trade them. And believe me not, I have some shares, and I actually sold a few years ago shares for a few €1,000, and I actually got my money. So yes, they made it, but it never happened. Nothing really happened. You know, there is no momentum. There's no liquidity. There's a shitload of shareholders. So yes, they did that. But I agree. They tried to cover up for something. That's probably why they asked me to build a cashback platform. You know, and I said, well, fine, I can do that.
Is Bjorn Thomas the person you're thinking of?
He's one of the idiots, but he's not the Jarle. His name is Jarle. Now it's coming. He lives.
Elgidson?
No, that's one of the Evensen is one of them, but Jarle.
Evensen.
No, not Evensen. That's Arne Evensen you're thinking about. Jarle.
Elginsen.
No, his name is not Jarle. What the fuck is his name? I'm gonna get it soon. I never mailed him in my life. I think I have him somewhere. Jarle. What is this? No, it's not. But it doesn't matter. He's a drunk, and obviously he was. He was out. So.
Well, what I'm saying is that 6 of the main players in Unico Cytok was Frank Ricketts. Frank Ricketts was involved in Cytok, Unico, OPN, One Life, OneCoin, now Cloud Horizon, which is another scam. We have Sebastian Greenwood, who was involved in Unico, Cytok, OPN, Zupirium before that, Lupium before that. He brought in the Cool Stack for Bitcoin, which he was involved in. Also, Prosper Club he was a part of. And then OneCoin, essentially. We have Kenny Nordland. Kenny Nordland was started in ITEL Group, GII Corp, Entertainment Express, T6 Poker, Cytok, Unico, OneCoin, now Cloud Horizon. He's part of Wellmont Capital, and I mean, this guy is literally a career scammer. You have Dan Anderson, who was involved in Unico, Cytok, OPN. Now is the CEO of LeoCoin. I think he was arrested in Pakistan 2 months ago or something.
Yeah, I read that. Yeah.
You have Thomas Nordland, who is involved in a lot of these same schemes, of course. But then also John Ing, who is the general manager for Unico. He also started Bitcoin. He merged with BNA, which was some part of Bitcoin. He was involved in Prosper Club. I mean, my point is that there's just a rotating set of chairs that goes on in the biggest Ponzi scams in the world that steal billions of dollars from people, and it's just rotating chairs.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So that's where the concern comes.
Yeah,
from.
I see that too. But when you get proof from 4 people that I have scammed,
I'm not saying that, and I'm not accusing you of that.
I'm just saying it's not about that. I'm just telling you. Yes, there's always pawn in the playing field. We have victims here who were also pawns because they talk to their friends and relatives. I didn't speak to anyone about One Life or OneCoin being something that I would ever promote or invest in, ever. Because in my gut feel, I have a very good gut feeling. It said to me, something is wrong here. This woman will not answer my questions. You know, but yes, I understand what you're saying, and the association, and only by association you can be seen as a scammer. And probably you will find a forum from 2006-7 where someone is writing, oh, this ASEAN regional vice president, he scammed me, 490 euros for my starting pack, and I didn't sell any phone subscriptions. Yeah, well, so what? I mean, people buy Herbalife packs, so they don't sell it either, and they lose their money. So that's the nature of network marketing. So you will always find that, but I can guarantee you I've never pulled in money from people to something that is shit. That has never happened, ever. But I have built the systems that actually works for shit companies. But that's another point. So yeah. I'm not gonna lie about that. That's for sure.
So I have a question for Duncan and for Gary, and it's just on the same lines of that. Okay, these guys have become very good. The ones that we mentioned, we just went over, that are career scammers, serial scammers, etc., in what they do. And being in that industry for as long as they have, many of them recognize, hey, it's time to get out. We have information stating that Juha Pariala had in January or February of maybe it was actually March of 2017, said had told one of the other managers, milk it while you can. Milk it while you can. And then he's gone. He said that was his last company ever. He's doing something else. But what kind of introspect may you guys have between some of these guys that did get out early, assuming that maybe they could escape some of the legal heat that was coming down? I'm talking about Per Carlson, Udo Depish, Juha Pariala. I'm very interested in the Steinkellers, and also Stefan Leibach.
Can I just say that for Rafe and R?
Gary, let me answer this.
Okay.
Tim, we had no direct dealing with them. We didn't even know who the hell they were.
I'm talking about office chat, whatever.
Yeah, we'd occasionally run into them at office parties. I thought Igor Alberts was the most ridiculous-looking person I ever met. But these were people who were mentioned in the background. We weren't network. We weren't selling. We weren't coin. We were in a parallel universe. But on a personal level, if they aren't in hell, I hope they go there.
When the Steinkellers left, they left saying that they were burning that bridge and not coming back, essentially. There was some talk about them having brought in some leaders in the Caribbean and in Colombia, Panama areas in Central and South America, and basically going to make a huge money move. And there was talk that there was some, and this could be complete conjecture, and I'm just asking if you guys heard anything to this effect. There was conjecture that some of the local mafias and cartels kind of got word of what was going on, how much money was moving around and stuff like that, and basically told the Steinkellers that they were essentially taking over. Do you know if there's any truth to that, or did you hear anything like that whatsoever? No. The story is that the Steinkellers left scared and left the network pretty abruptly.
No, that's the first. We weren't involved. We were just paid stupid, to be honest.
Well, we weren't totally stupid. We had a top law firm, standing in between us and Sofia, essentially, who had spent 6 months going over the Sofia office, and they went over there and visited them and interviewed people, and we were given comfort from that. So we weren't totally blind and totally stupid. And also, we never had, I personally, as director, I don't know any of these people you're talking about. My background is not MLM. It's not cryptocurrency. It's private equity and funding.
Hey, speak for yourself. I'm totally stupid.
I mean, it's all very well with hindsight. We do feel quite stupid, but at the time, I was a private equity lawyer, hoping to get in funds to do private equity projects. And I was not interested in the home MLM side, really. I arranged for one legal bit of legal advice from a very, very, one of the best law firms in London, who gave me legal advice that it was not a pyramid scheme. They gave Sophia a whole load of issues that they had to correct, but we have legal advice saying it's not a pyramid scheme.
Gary, was that happen to be Carter Rock?
No, not Carter Rock.
I just had to ask that question because that's where, you know, the threatening lawyers were just said from. That's where I get mine from.
Carter Rock are a kind of huge libel law firm in London, and we didn't enter. I met Carter Rock about once to try and assist them with their defamation inquiries, but we also had a law firm as well working for us. But we really weren't involved with the whole Sophia corporate structure. It was a serious financial services law firm that we're talking about here, with a massive commercial team. I'm not going to give you the name of the firm. I don't think it's fair enough. But,
and Gary, that doesn't really matter. I've been 28 years in network marketing. To get a legal opinion about a compensation plan being legal is not that complicated. I mean, they are selling educational package for this amount of money, and they're saying it's value this and blah 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 blah. They're giving tokens out that is worth shit. I mean, I have spent probably 25,000 euro going to Anthony Robbins, but that is a serious education. You know, I've been to Maui, I've been to Hawaii, I've been to London, been freaking walking on coals. That was worth every single penny. What these people have learned in those educational packages, I don't know, but they certainly didn't listen to them. But for a lawyer and a legal textbook person looking at this, yeah, that could be kind of okay, but it's really not okay. That's why it's a sham, you know, that's how they set it up.
You see, my background is not MLM.
I know. That's why you didn't know and you didn't understand, but we don't have to defend that, Gary. I'm just saying that this legal opinion you got from this fancy law firm, well, I can set system up too tomorrow. I can write it myself and send it to them, and they're going to say, yep, this looks legal, but it could be just a freaking sham. That's what Tim is talking about. These scammers, they're running around and they're doing the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And yes, I agree. But what the hell can I do about it? I'm not the police. I mean, if I were, I would probably go after them all. So,
well, as director of Raven Isle, I took great comfort from the fact that I had this law firm.
I understand.
Between me and Sophia.
I understand that completely.
I want to shift gears for just a second, guys, because there's something that's really pressing on me, and I have to laugh about it. I'm sorry, but have you guys been watching these latest quote unquote updates that's coming out of Sophia that's never signed by anybody, and what they claim is going on about discussions with the central bank?
Yeah, that's fucked up.
And all that crap.
My week.
It's all a joke to me. But what is your thoughts on this?
Okay, all right. I'll start off. I worked for a regulator, right? Okay, I got admitted onto an exchange because people working for a central bank vouched for me. I have no idea what the hell they are talking about.
Makes sense.
Well, we don't either, but that's beside the point.
No, I mean, it's the most entertaining part of my week. It baffles me. I stare at it and they talk about, we're doing this side project, we've had this approved, we've had that approved. I mean, we just got onto an exchange. We know what's involved.
Yeah.
I'm about to be approved for a South African exchange, and then I have an application for a Swiss exchange. Really, you know, I love it. Friday is my favorite day of the whole week, and not just because it's the start of the weekend.
I mean, it's
actually left. Who is it? Who's writing these letters? Who's left to do this?
Vesselina.
It has to be Vesselina.
The poor English gives it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not very good, are they? That's got to be said.
No, but nothing makes any sense. It's like a 6-year-old would write it. I mean, I'm Swedish and I am pretty good in English. So it's like a joke. So I feel sorry for the victims. I feel sorry for you as well, Jan. I mean, oh my God, if I had invested that, I would go there with a fucking bazooka and kill them. But I wouldn't have invested, to be honest. I mean, No, I'm not pushing you down or something, but I can understand.
No, you're not doing anything that you've said that I haven't the last 2 years.
No,
you know,
yeah, no, I understand, but
for it'll never leave me.
No, of course.
And I think from a victim's perspective, when they targeted people were uneducated. It wouldn't happen to me now. I'm it's what I've gained from these guys out with after realizing I was a victim is invaluable. But at that time I wasn't.
No.
And and also you have victims from all around the world where English isn't their first language.
No, of course. No, I understand completely.
No, it's tragic. And every time one of those messages goes out, I get up to 120 emails asking me, what the hell does this actually mean? And I unfortunately don't know.
I think one quote said it all throughout these 2 years, and we, as you know, Duncan, we're classed as the haters. OneCoin even brainwashed people to say, don't listen to them. They're haters. They're Bitcoin enthusiasts and all the rest of it. And people believe it. And one person said to me, I'll never forget it. It said, Jen, I don't know whether to hate you for thinking that you're lying, or hating you for telling the truth.
Yeah, well, I used the term haters at one point.
Yeah, I know you did. I know you did.
Yes, but then I am the first person to be called the devil at a OneCoin event, and now that's how they refer to me. And Eric and I are evil.
Yeah, for someone who is
anyone who's a leader who leaves is instantly castigated. So that's just how it goes. That's what they have to do to preserve the network.
Welcome to the dark side.
Yeah,
but believe me, I command the dark side. I am the lord of the evil.
Duncan was never a leader. He was always referred to as the project manager for New Deal Shaker. So, you can look at it any way you like. He was, at one point, they wouldn't leave him alone. And with the next breath, they're calling him all sorts of names.
It's quite, when you're inside that bubble, I know what it's like to be in that bubble. I was there. Once you're out it, and you start speaking out, your class, they said in a webinar, Tim, you'll probably remember this, that they told everyone that I was mentally unstable, and that the men in white jackets were due to pick me up shortly and take me to a psychiatric hospital. Do you remember, Tim?
Oh yeah, for sure.
The threats that you received, the death threats Tim's received, all of us have, and all we're doing is we're raising awareness to try and protect further victims and help and support the victims that these evil people have created. So
Jen, but I don't even know that they're evil. I mean, I have had the most meteoric fall in terms of One Life history. I was supposed to take it over, and they've cut me off, and they've done what they've done to me. Ask Dorothy. I had to have bodyguards for weeks.
Jen knows that, yeah.
Yeah.
She does know
so,
I was going to ask you about that because, I'm in communication with them as well. So, how did that when you came from USA, Duncan, after Constantine was arrested, and you were put in that plane? Was that when the UK picked up on you, or?
No. As soon as I got back to the UK, I flew immediately to Sofia and asked the question that the US had asked me. And I couldn't get answers. Now, in the meantime, I'd already agreed to the Vietnam and the Japan events, which I was committed to. So I had to go. The Americans are incredibly aggressive, and rightly so. I've warned the UK leaders that if they carry on, they are likely to get arrested. And if I'm very, very lucky, they're likely to get extradited, because the UK does that. No.
What's the reaction when you come back and give them this news to the UK leaders? What was the...
I get called a traitor. I get called a Judas. I get threatened phone calls. I get threatened on social media.
I have a question. You guys are all familiar with how gift codes work, right?
Yes. Gift codes are a Disneyland money laundering tool.
Exactly. So at some point, actually, to be more specific, around January of 2017, OneCoin stopped paying out from their cash accounts. And I believe this is probably around the advent time of gift codes. It was on November 30th of 2016 in which their last known Bank of Tanzania bank account was frozen. According to Daniel Brennan, who was at an event in Tanzania on December 16th, along with another Blue Diamond leader, Judicate Greatness was his name, which I can never get over that name. It's so awesome. They were leading an event in Dar es Salaam, which was supposed Dar es Salaam, which was supposed to be attended by two of the Steinkeller brothers. They mysteriously fell ill shortly before that and didn't attend. My intuition says that they figured that, okay, look, our Bank of Tanzania just got frozen, and this is not going to be a good trip to put ourselves right in the heart of this. Tanzania has mandatory 3-year sentencing for anyone involved in Ponzi scams. And Daniel Brennan said that while he was arrested at the event, he and Judicate Greatness, and he said that that in addition to the regular inquiries of the police officials that interrogated him, they had IMA underneath their names, right? And someone had reported to the police saying that it was IMS, so they thought that they were involved in Frank Ricketts' company, right? And there were 2 officers from the World Bank that were there that also interrogated him, and they said that they had seized bank accounts in Singapore, they had seized bank accounts in Germany, which we know, and they had seized, several tens of millions of dollars at Bank of Tanzania. They said that that the World Bank and other authorities had contacted this most transparent company and said, hey, we have seized this much money on suspicion of money laundering, and we need to find out what's going on. None of their calls, none of their emails, anything was returned at that time. And I mean, this is tens of millions of dollars of investors' money that's just sitting in a bank account. And apparently this is one of the only ones that we really know about because Daniel Brennan talked about it. But I mean, the whole process of gift codes is basically the same process of selling cocaine from the Colombian cartel all the way down to the street level. At the street level, you're selling joints or little dime bags, and then you're passing that money up to, the guy that's cutting it, or selling bigger bags, and then to the guy that's cutting it, and then the guy that's bringing it, across the borders and stuff like this. And so it just trickles all the way up. I mean, didn't the whole gift codes thing and the fact that OneCoin had no banks or banking channels, or very few and very limited, raise red flags, or how did you overcome that red flag?
Okay, well, the first time I heard about a gift code was when the FBI asked me about it. Yeah, but I did some digging afterwards. And it turns out that Gary and my investigation, or my visit to Uganda, in order to sweeten up East Africa, was to try and turn around the whole thing in Tanzania.
How so? What do you mean?
Okay, Gary and I got an invitation to Tanzania to go and explain blockchain technology and try and enlighten everybody about what one life and one coin and blockchain could be.
Was it Uganda, Duncan?
Yes, Uganda. Yeah. Yeah. So we went to Uganda, but East Africa, you have to understand, is a very tight community. It's about 5 or 6 countries that are effectively run as a family. Yeah. So immediately after the Tanzanian thing happened, we found in retrospect, we found ourselves in Kampala, presenting ourselves to the central bank, selling a blockchain which didn't exist, where we could have been arrested and have spent the rest of our lives in the worst hellhole of a prison that ever existed.
Sure.
Yeah,
Gary,
I went with Duncan to Uganda and met the regulator, but at this time we had no reason to believe that there wasn't a blockchain. We'd read, I mean, Uganda we'd all seen the publicity about it. But, you know, whenever I went to Sofia, which is probably about 10 times, people would talk openly about there being a blockchain. So I think people in the office over there thought there was a blockchain. I was not there really. I was just there to support Duncan, and because we were meeting a regulator, that I went over there. But you know, I'm not a technological expert or an MLM expert. You know, I wasn't really selling the blockchain. I was just talking about, you know, assisting Duncan to talk about cryptocurrency.
Yeah, but there I am, representing myself as a fellow African, because I'm South African, and trying to sell a technology that doesn't exist. And then it goes further. Then they invite the people to Sophia.
Yes.
And Gary and I have to go and entertain them in the snow.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't make this up.
No, and I think they stole the umbrella from the hotel as well. But these were the kind of people that, you know, were just involved with one life, I suppose.
Well, guys, I need to leave. I have my daughter here for 14 days, so I need to take her to bed. She's young.
Okay. Thank you, Jan.
Yeah, but you're welcome. You have my email. It's in the chat, and you're welcome to ask any question. You know,
thanks, Jan Eric. Really appreciate you taking on the webinar.
No worries.
Taking the time out to do so. Much appreciated.
We are open books. So okay.
Have
a nice evening,
care.
guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jan.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you, Jan Eric.
So I'm basically, I don't know if there's any more questions, but
I have just one question. Do any of you guys know what's happened to Ruja, where she is?
Well, that was my final question, Gary.
Right, okay.
I was holding on for the end.
I really want to know where she is. She owes us all a lot of money, and she has a lease to pay off at One Knightsbridge, which we're all trying to find the money for. So if
only if you allow us to get to her first before you touch her.
Yeah. I just can't believe it was about October the 17th, 2017, when I was due to meet her last, and she just disappeared overnight. I was told she was dead just over a year ago. No, actually less than a year ago. I had a very convincing guy sit in a meeting me with another law firm that we were using, who actually forced tears to come out of his eye and told us that he believed she was dead, and he tried to find her. She was last seen getting to a Porsche in Thessalonica airport with 5 big Croatian men, or whatever they were, Bosnian men. And apparently that was the last anyone had ever seen of her. There's been no visible online presence. You know, I have no idea where she is, but I would love to find her.
Yeah, but I'm sure like a detailed account of how Constantine got arrested.
Yeah, I mean, I fully understand why, Jen. I can completely relate to you as a victim, because we're all victims here. I have no idea where she is. I've got a lease. Every quarter I get a bill for £80,000.
How much?
£80,000. which me and Duncan, we had to try and find from somewhere. And Jan Erik, we have to find the money. So we've all been scammed.
Well, let me just say that there's indications that if she is still alive, that there's a possibility that people do know where she is and how she's moving around. But you raised the same question I've raised, is that there is nothing to guarantee that she still is alive.
Yeah.
But that's all I really can say, because we're knee deep in this.
What I can say is that I did say to Constantine, well, how's Ruja? And I can tell you what he said to me. And that was that there were only 3 people in the world who knew where Ruja was. But he could not tell me where she was, but 3 people knew, and he was one of them.
Right.
He knew, and he believed he was in contact with her, was emailing her, and, you know,
yeah.
I have no reason to doubt that he did believe he was talking to Ruja. I don't know that he was.
Well, he was, because he had her power of attorney in his laptop.
Well, so he said, but I thought that signature was forged. I'm not sure.
Very possibility.
Yeah, I thought that possibility too.
I haven't heard of attorney. I actually forgot about that.
Yeah, I wasn't aware. If Constantine did have a power of attorney, then he would presumably have. Ruja has 2 London properties we've had to, in her absence,
which we have had the pleasure of funding.
When we thought she was coming back, you know, we tried to manage it and make sure it's all ticking over for when she'd come back. But when she never came back, and we found that we were still liable for the bills, you know, I was saying to Constantine, you know, perhaps we should think about selling them. But if he had got a power of attorney, he would have sold these properties, because one was worth about 15 million. And even now, we still get emails from Sophia saying that we're going to pay the bills on the properties. You know, it's just amazing.
You're getting emails from the Sophia office?
Yeah, well, no, but we cut them off now. We have no contact now with the Sophia office at all.
But they were contacting you and saying...
They're expecting us to pay, yeah.
Yeah, they were trying to contact us to pay off the bills. Needless to say, we have no money. You know, we've got other priorities in terms of billing, and Ruja's penthouse is far down at the bottom end of our list of priorities.
So, you know, there is actually one subject that we never even touched on, I don't think, and that's Vesca Ignatov.
Well, I have no idea. Me and Ruja were not close. I don't know what the inventory. If you're asking me for some kind of global inventory of Ruja's assets, I never saw them. We were trying to get money into new funds that we set up at Raven-R, and we couldn't even get monies cleared. It was a complete nightmare. So the family office, or whatever it was, failed in all respects.
Well, who's paying?
Duncan?
I mean, we alluded to earlier that there was somebody paying the people in Sophia. Is that attorney, or who is that?
I have no idea.
Okay, all right. You know, I don't know that it's true, but apparently Sophia is being paid by the master distributors, and there was a communication that went out a few days ago, and if the exchange is going to happen, it's going to be funded by the networkers. So Sophia really have been cut down to their ankles. Soon they're going to be on their knees.
Yeah. And our feelings are that ever since we discovered that there was no blockchain, which was only really, what was about March this year, we just thought, you know, anyone who continues now knows they're running a criminal operation. And, you know.
Well, listen, guys, I got to run too. I appreciate your time. I know it's late where you are, and it's early for me, but I got things I got to do, unfortunately. But I really do appreciate everybody's willingness to be on the call, and thank you for all the information.
Yeah,
thank you, Lynn.
No, nice to meet you.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye, Lynn. Thank you.
Bye, Lynn.
Bye.
Okay, Jen, you must have 1,001 questions. Okay, the first thing I want to ask is, who are you dealing with at the FCA?
I don't really want to say here at the moment, Duncan. I can't say at the moment. I'll speak to you. I'll definitely get in touch with you and we'll discuss that.
Okay, fantastic. Are you dealing with the Metropolitan Police in London or the City?
Yes, we're in contact with them.
Okay, all right.
Kieran Vaughan, I think.
That DC Kieran Vaughan. Yeah, he was.
It's still a DC. I thought he would have been promoted by now. Okay, but anyway.
Maybe after.
I was in a meeting with.
Who knows?
I was in a meeting with Castle Rock when his name came up, and we were told that he was being paid by Bitcoin.
Okay, Jen, the next question.
Yes.
What happened between Pitt and Zafar?
What happened between what?
Between
Peter Shaw and Mohammed Zafar.
Oh, that was we get told that Zafar basically gave Pierre a beating. And
really?
Sophia, they didn't like the way that.
No, that was Pierre Aarons.
Oh, Pierre Aarons. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear. It was a bit muffled.
No, I think it's the same guy. Pitt and Pierre Aarons is the same guy.
Yeah, they're the same guy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Peter Shaw. My bad.
Oh no.
Yeah, Pitt Aarons. Yeah, Pitt Aarons.
Zafar, who's not a doctor either. Do you know what is this?
I thought Ruja was a doctor. I've seen her certificates. They were on the wall in Sofia, and apparently she did go to Oxford. It's checked out by a PR firm. I must admit, if she was a doctor of law, some of the things that she came out with were very, very stupid. But
if she's a doctor of anything, it'll be a scammer.
I think that those are forged. I think that she may have attended there, but I don't even believe that Oxford offers a doctorate in law.
Yeah, some kind of European masters or something that she claims to have.
Right, it's a what is it, juris major or something like this. But it's only recognized literally in Germany.
We apparently had a PR firm check them out, and they were legitimate. And we had this guy working, actually looking back, maybe he was just feeding me a whole load of lies just to keep us going. Because he's the guy who told me that he checked out Ruja's certificates, they were genuine. And he's the guy who sat down with me telling me one coin was genuine and it wasn't a scam. A guy called Frank Schneider.
Okay. Now, remember that name?
Say it again. It was Frank Schneider?
Frank Schneider. He's the guy who is feeding us all these rumours about. I'd heard of your name before, Temptation, actually, through our PR firm, and they were telling me that you are pro Bitcoin and has a lot of money in Bitcoin. That's why you're putting out all these negative press feeds.
I'm pro cryptocurrency and blockchain.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know. I was in, I was a private equity. It's really, what was going on in Sofia wasn't really my major concern. I was more concerned about getting funds set up in the UK to try and do proper private equity work. We were not really pivotal in what was going on in Sofia at all.
Right.
Okay.
Going back to that story, so we were told that Zafar didn't like the way Pierre Aarons, his attitude, and so him and Zafar and his cronies took him and gave him a beating, which coincided with him. Tim, was it a heart attack or a mini heart attack or something like that?
So he said.
That's what was claimed. This is probably about 2 weeks after October 17th. As far, I think it was the very end of October, if I'm not mistaken. And Pierre had gone there because the rumor was that that Ruja was missing and all this stuff. And so I think he went there, and those guys just happened to coincide with that trip, and they wanted to continue the perception that everything was cool and everything was dandy. And Pierre was extremely nervous, and you know, he was on the brink of leaving probably anyways. And they roughed him up and did a video threatening him essentially to let everyone know that things are all sunny and, you know, beautiful.
Wow.
My God. Okay.
Pitt actually went sometime in just after July. He went in July or August. He had already started to quit or had gone. So I don't know where the October comes in. He wasn't there as long as everyone thinks he was.
Yeah, the most useless individual, you know, except for Pablo Munoz.
Where is Pablo Munoz?
Back in Miami, he left. They came in and left. She used to find the CEOs of One Life who would stay there for a few minutes and then get nervous and leave, and nobody would be CEO. I think it was all the regulatory difficulties that they seem to be having with various regulators. But the lady who was dealing with all of that was a lady called Irina Dubkinska, and she was the lawyer.
Yes. Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Does anybody know where Irina is?
That's my dog.
Okay. That barks at the name Irina. Yeah.
No one knows. Well, I don't know if anyone knows where. Lester, stop. I don't know if anyone knows where Irina is. I'm going to move.
Apparently, she tried to steal 100 million.
But she was a principal at several of the companies that Mark Escott was managing. Some of the shell companies that they were washing $400 million of OneCoin stolen funds through. And so she was in at least two of those in Ireland and some other places. As far as I understand, Scott was involved in setting up a number of at least 216 companies in 21 countries that were used for that purpose. So Irina's title, of course, was head of legal and compliance, and we always referred to it as head of illegal and non-compliance.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, no, okay. I'm going to give you guys some insight that you haven't heard before. All right. Gary and Irina always had a difficult relationship.
Okay.
Us in London were not paid by Sophia, so we didn't feel that we had to follow their instructions or anything of the sort. At about this time and a couple of months last year, you know, Constantine suddenly fired Irina and put Gary in Irina's place.
Let me ask you this. Did Irina disappear, or was she quote-unquote fired?
She was fired.
For trying to steal 100 million euros, I heard.
No, 192 million euro.
192 million?
Yeah, she fucked it up. Her and Scott fucked it up.
She was in it with Mark Scott.
Yes.
God.
And that's when Constantine lost it. And that's when the US seized Scott.
That's interesting.
The US arrested Scott.
Do you know anything about what her, she had affinity for wolves, right? She was like the wolves queen. What was that about?
Sorry, Tim, you're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Tim, you're breaking up. You might need to switch your
I'm going to turn my video off.
Ask that question. All right. Right.
Okay, I'm going to turn my video off. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have beautiful nostrils.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Irina had some sort of affinity towards wolves. She was called the Wolves Queen. Do you guys know where that affinity or nickname or any of this came from?
She has a wolf.
Does she have a wolf?
She has a wolf.
It's called Chucky.
Really?
Well, that makes sense.
Interesting.
I can find the photo somewhere.
Huh.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I didn't know that. How do you know all this information? It's
Dude, you guys would just be blown away at the information that we know. Seriously?
No, you'll be blown away at
Oh
what
my
I know. I
God.
know everything, but I only learned it too late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So Duncan, can I ask
You know what? I'm pissed because, OneCoin fucked up so much for the entire industry. It caused hyper regulation that would have come more slowly in terms of, like in the US, it's difficult for anyone to participate in ICOs, STOs.
No, well,
a lot of
you have the same securities regulation as you do with shares. But in a way, I think it's a good thing because
it is a good thing.
At least it came early rather than late. So we won't have a 1929.
Right.
Yeah, but Tim, seriously, the stories and what went on and what we learned, you'd be amazed.
I'm sure. Yeah, I can't wait for everything to come out in the wash because, we know a lot, but there's so much that we don't know. And there's, particularly a lot of the political ties and things like this. You guys are familiar with Svetlana Borislavova, two-time, the wife of two-time Prime Minister Boyko.
Yeah.
Do you guys know how that relationship happened between Ruja and her?
Yes.
I'm assuming that she was working for a Bulgarian bank when they met. Then she became a CFO of CSIF, which was managing hundreds of millions of hedge fund money herself. So she does have some, her resume is half truths and half lies.
When she was working at McKinsey, she got exposed to a lot of important people in Bulgaria.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Now, one of the things we are doing is we are having a book written, and all the profits go to OneCoin victims.
Cool.
Yeah. And it's going to be like a Wolf of Wall Street blockbuster.
Mm-hmm.
As you can imagine.
Wow.
Okay. Other things that have happened is we have sight onto the back end. OneCoin claims to have 3.6 million members. It doesn't.
Right, sure.
We scrubbed the data. If there are 700,000, it's a lot.
Yeah, I figured 1 million was the most.
Yeah. Okay. And also, they hate me.
Uh-huh.
I don't leave the house without bodyguards, or I'm in South Africa. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, but you know the pressure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tim, the story, initially you were looking under your car, weren't you, for bombs as well? I just didn't know.
Well, I'm not a paranoid kind of person, but there were some pretty specific threats that caused me to be more diligent and situationally aware than I would normally be, and that was one of the things that I would do. Is I was looking under my car for a while. I basically found out, like, one of my friends contacted me. He's like, "Dude, you have some stuff on the internet." And he's all, "You need to get rid of that stuff." So I just took everything that had any identifying information of me offline, and not that necessarily completely worked or not, but for a little while I had I was worried that people that I was helping stop hundreds of millions of dollars potentially come into criminals, and criminals usually don't like that.
Yeah, that's kind of how we feel actually by speaking out. We're there's always that fear that we're stopping criminals in their tracks and they could potentially be making millions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As Gary and Dorothy will tell you, I only left the house with 3 big black men.
Mm-hmm.
About a week.
We also wonder whether Ruja was actually at the top, or whether there was whether she was a puppet or somebody else that we never got to see.
Yeah, I definitely always always surmised that as well. Never came up with a solid answer, but
no, neither did I. I mean, Russia was, for all intents and purposes, she was the person who seemed to be in control. And then Konstantin, they never gave away if they were taking instructions from anybody else.
Duncan, how do you feel about Konstantin now?
No, I feel terrible about Konstantin. You know, he's a mate. You know, him and I got on like a house on fire. We always got on. He protected me from being fired. We spent up to 16 hours a day for about 3 months. He's not that bright, to be honest. Whatever his sister did, he didn't understand. He was just there to take the fall. And
why would he do that, though? I mean, why would he agree to that? I mean, maybe there's a a golden egg at the end of the rainbow or something like this.
No,
but I mean,
there's no end of the rainbow. He's facing,
clearly he's looking at 20 plus years. He's not going to get less than 20 years, even if he's
not. And they're adding a money laundering charge. They're adding it to Mark Scott's charge. That is a mandatory life sentence. There's no end of the rainbow.
20 years is what the
a life sentence for money laundering.
Tim,
it would have to be several charges, several additional charges.
Yeah. Okay. Now, if they can prove he stole what you say, 7 billion, he's fucked. Eh? He's not coming back.
I said 4.6 is what FBI says. Lynn says that based on his information and everything that he followed for the last 15 years, it's always significantly more.
Yeah.
Sorry, am I talking? Oh yeah. Hello. Well, we've heard reports that and we're not sure how to verify them, but someone was saying that Konstantin's got a personal fortune of 200 million.
Wow.
So I mean that's unverified reports, but it's like it's a bit of an incentive to actually keep the ship afloat, so to speak.
I heard an insider say that there was over 10 billion, but I've never repeated that.
I doubt it was that much because you had to pay the network. And man, I hate network marketing. It makes me vomit.
Well, yeah, no, I'm talking about including paying the network and everything. I mean, the profits that
as much as that, even after paying
2.3 billion, according to FBI.
Okay, so why did the FBI let me go? I would have been,
What did they say? They called you a fucking idiot, mate. That's probably why.
Yeah, that's why they let me go.
And that's what I was.
That actually happened. What happened from your perspective? What was that like? What happened?
No, it was the most ridiculous thing. Okay, to start with, Simon Lee invited us, and Simon Lee might have made about 50 million from the network, but he's still a fucking cheapskate. So
as was Rouge, I heard.
Yeah. Yes. So if he could save $10 by making me wait 10 hours in a foreign airport, he would. So I have to fly to Istanbul to fly to San Francisco and meet Konstantin. So anyway, we get onto the flight. It's Air Turkey. We go to San Francisco. It takes us 3.5 hours to get through customs, as it does in the US. I sail through. Konstantin gets picked up. All right. So I'm waiting for him. And he appears with somebody dressed in blue with his passport in a little red bag ziplocked. They take him into a little office. I'm hanging around. This woman comes up to me and says, "What are you doing?" I'm saying, "I'm waiting for my mate." She says to me in the exact same words, "Well, you fuck off except if you want that." So anyway, I catch the connecting flight to Las Vegas. I pick up my luggage, all the rest of it. Konstantin arrives 8 hours later. They've confiscated his mobile phone, and they seize his laptop, and his luggage doesn't arrive. So I have to lend him clothes. All right. So we do what we're supposed to do. He gets photographed. All of the photographs that appear on the website were taken by me. All right. Okay. Then we go to Los Angeles. I didn't want to go to LA. I had no business to be in LA. It was just a waste of time. I just wanted to go home. We arrive at the airport to fly home, and the flight is delayed by about 2.5 to 3 hours. You know, we can't understand why. They won't tell us why, the rest of it. Then we get an announcement. Duncan Arthur and Konstantin Ignatov, please come to the counter. So we think, okay, we're the only business class customers. So anyway, we go to the counter. We say, are we boarding first? And the lady says, well, you're going where nobody else is going. And we think it's a big joke. Okay. They lead us through the door. There are 3 big guys. Okay. And it's not often I'm the smallest guy in the room. Okay. All of them are dressed in blue. They all got badges across their chest. 2 of them swing Konstantin around. The third clamps him. He disappears in a door. Gone. Okay. Then I feel a hand on my one shoulder. Then I feel a hand on my other shoulder. They take me to this room that looks like it comes off a cheap American detective show. Yeah. Then they start asking questions. Where's Ruja? How's the coin priced? Who is X? Who is Y? How do you know them? What do they do?
Right then and there? Wow. So they knew where you were going, and they intercepted you there.
Yes.
These people were familiar with what was going on.
Yeah, they knew. Okay. So, you know, I was a complete moron. I didn't know. You know, I run DealShaker. I was never involved in the network. I was never involved in the coin. I don't know how it's priced. You know, I couldn't really care less. I'm a nice guy. I assume people do their job. You know, but they thought I was a complete moron. Yeah. So anyway, they eventually realized they can't actually get anything out of me. So they decide to let me go, but they give me a indictment to appear before a grand jury for the Southern District of New York in like 5 to 7 hours. Now that's physically impossible to get there. And I'm about to board a plane to Istanbul. So I point this out to them, and they said, well, you're never welcome in the US again on that basis.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they didn't literally say that. They did literally say that.
They did literally say that.
Wow.
Okay. But then they take me with this big Hawaiian guy who's like driving me like I'm a remote control thing because he's got his arm on my right shoulder. They get my passport. They get my boarding pass. You know, I get deposited on the plane. Everybody else is seated and positively pissed off because this flight is now like 3 hours late. You know, I sit down, and the person next to me I can see is a federal agent. He's got the bad haircut. He's got the bad suit. And the first thing he says to me is, I don't mind if you work. What do you do?
Did you tell him?
No, I pretended to fall asleep. Okay, so I get to Sophia. I ask the questions. How is the coin priced? Nobody can tell me. Can I visit the mining centers? No, nobody can visit the mining centers. Where are the mining centers? We're not sure. You know, and then it was like, fuck you, you know, really, honestly. You guys placed me in that much damage and that much, just whatever. And, you know, honestly, that just, you know, as Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until they're punched in the mouth. You know, I got punched in the mouth. You know, that burst every single fucking bubble. Seriously. You know,
Duncan, you're going to complain through the grievance procedure. There must be one at the US Treasury about that, because the way you were treated was just abysmal.
It was, but anyway, but
Came away with his life though, Gary.
If it was enough to burst me out of the bubble, it was enough. Okay, then I get back. Then I start asking Jan Erik certain questions. Look for X, look for Y, look for Z. You know, Sophia won't tell me anything. You know, when it gets to the point where they can't tell me anything, they suddenly cut me off.
You're a liability.
Yeah, I'm a liability. In fact, when we were in Japan, you know, for the last event, you know, I kind of did, you know how couples are when they're breaking up. If you've made plans for a trip or whatever, you'll go through it just, you know, to get through it. You know, we get to Japan and there are rumors that there are going to be arrests. And the feedback comes back from Sophia that if Duncan gets arrested, it's easier because it's one less problem. Yeah. So I get back and Jan Erik phones me. And he says, fucking sit down and turn on your Zoom because I'm going to show you something on the system which is going to shock you. Okay. He shows it to me. I fly to Spain immediately. We spend a week unpacking it. There's no blockchain. There's no mining. There's no nodes. There's no way that this system can even communicate with a PCH.
What blows me away is this shit is what I knew in 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you were never part of the bubble. You were never, yeah. All right. Okay. So, and you're in, you know, I'm not a crypto industry expert. I've never pretended to be. They used me as the acceptable face because I'm English speaking, I'm kind of good looking, whatever, you know?
You were. Anyway.
I was. No, fuck you.
I think they would have chosen me, Duncan, if they'd have gone for good looking.
No, they would have been fucked in 2015, Gary. Okay. So anyway, you know, Jan Erik finally managed to hack the system. So we send a report to Sophia saying, we can save this. You know, everybody here is a victim. We can draw a line in the sand. We can fix it. You know, and nobody needs to leave poorer. But the fuckers decide, fuck Duncan. Cut him off. Give him death threats, whatever. You know, and that's where we are.
So how did, can you recap what you heard about when, you remember when they auctioned off the BMW? Sold
oh, Jesus.
3.6 million.
God, you know, you want to go, no. Okay. All right. I arrived in Romania. It was a 2-hour drive to Brazil. Okay. So I arrive at the end of the DealShaker Expo. I don't get to see anything. None of the merchants are selling anything by DealShaker. I put on a suit. You can see me in the video. I get escorted to this boardroom where people are selling this BMW. And I said to the Romanian leader, you know, you have got to put a limit on this. And he's like, nah. Christy,
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, they go fucking mental. You know, and the whole time I'm trying to shut it down. You know, so I immediately phoned Sophia and said, you know, this has happened. And this completely invalidates the value of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the next day I wake up and there's Christy with champagne, flowers, and chocolates for breakfast. So I can go and make that all acceptable for Constantine. Constantine had a fucking cat, as you know. But there we are.
What did you think about the Miss One? What was it? Miss One Life.
Oh, Miss One Life. Oh, Jesus. Jen, we made such a protest.
Hmm.
I mean, it's gotten to the point where it's become embarrassing.
Hmm.
Now, I can tell you stories about Christy Kalina that would make your head spin.
He organised that, didn't he, the One Life event?
Yes, he did.
Miss One Life, sorry.
He also organised that he hired a Romanian prostitute to try and get with me on a trip to Croatia so that he could blackmail me. Remember that, Dorothy?
No, I didn't know that.
I'm going to show you the photos.
God, I didn't know that.
Oh, wow.
Just tell the guys what he did when you did not offer him a franchise for Romania.
Oh, shit.
Because, Konstantin and I could not trust Christy Kalina because he's a moron, to be honest. So he arrives in Sofia one day and he gives me a basket. Yeah, with the wife. He arrives and he gives me a basket of Romanian cheese and honey and all the rest of it. So he gives it to me, and later on I tell him he's not the franchise holder. So his wife snaps it back.
Oh.
But he had an absolute hissy fit.
Oh, geez. He says to Konstantin, is this all about tits and ass? Because we gave it to somebody who's quite good looking and female. And Konstantin told him, well, you've got bigger tits than her.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
No, you guys wouldn't. You wouldn't believe the insanity behind this whole thing.
No, we know a little bit of it. After that auction, apparently Konstantin threatened the inner circle, right? And I pulled up a document. It says, really, I will tell you something. If I see something like this again, I will cut the person's head off publicly. My sister, what happened when somebody messed up what she did, this will be worse than you ever experienced. Do you know who he was talking about? My sister, what happened when somebody messed up what she did.
I think it was
than you ever experienced.
And figurative threat.
Yep.
I don't think Konstantin was the
He had to have been pointing at someone, and he must have castigated someone in some way or another.
But again, you need to contact me privately about your questions about Vietnam.
Yeah, I got you. Yep, I got you.
Yeah, all I can know is whenever I met Konstantin, he didn't come across as a violent person at all. I don't know what his contacts were. I don't know. No, we don't really know anything about that side. Konstantin himself didn't seem violent at all. I wouldn't, I'd be very, very surprised. He was like eating lentils and, a really calm kind of personality. It just seemed to me as though he's probably taking the flak for Ruja. He's not a terribly bright human being. And I don't know what he was involved in behind the scenes. And, I've read the context of some of these charges that have been made against him. And it looks as though he was probably doing a lot more than, we weren't aware of any of this that he was getting involved in.
She's some women, if that's the case, to sit back and let your brother take all the slack.
Yeah,
and not see your daughter ever again. I mean, what kind of person do you have to be?
But remember, this is a crime family. This started, as we know, at Waltenhof and Gusworks, which was, a ploy to make $1 million or, some small, many hundreds of thousands by screwing the employees and unbolting machinery and, selling the company to a stooge and all this stuff. So, Playman and Vesca have plenty of experience in that. Through the different shell companies, there's some pretty nefarious connections in there. I'm sure you guys have some clue as to those political and mafia connections.
I'm sure this is a few inputs, but for a later day. Yeah.
No, I got you. But my point being that Constantine to be just running around, blowing bubbles and chasing rainbows, I don't think that that's the case. I mean, this is a endemic situation with his family. So he knew to some extent what Ruja was up to, what his responsibility would be, and what his family was involved in. I mean,
I think by the size of his apparent bank balance, we had no idea that his bank balance was anywhere near that high. I know how much we were being paid, and we're struggling to pay the debts that we already, we've inherited.
Right.
I've just saw a question in chat from Beth. Want to remain anonymous. So I'm just going to say it, Duncan, and I don't know if you can read it. Duncan, how come you were not able to see the Ponzi pyramid? That was obvious to pretty much all outside the network. You don't have to be a crypto specialist.
We weren't in the network.
Yeah, we weren't working for one.
We were given jobs outside. We weren't paid by Sophia. We didn't do anything by Sophia.
And also we had, a top tier law firm, a financial services law firm, who had been over Sophia with a fine tooth comb and come back to us. Okay, admittedly, I'd seen audit reports on the blockchain, so it looked like it was audited, but I take your point that blockchain was audited by people worldwide.
Okay, so Jen, I'm sure you didn't hear my response, but we weren't hired by Sophia. We were never on the blockchain. We ran errands, essentially in London for Ruja.
Was Zafar and Parwaz frequent at that location, or did Zafar run it?
No. By the time I got my first network event in, I think it was May last year, Zafar had already been kicked out, and it was Parvitz's first time meeting me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're both crooks. Don't trust them.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Did you guys, was buckets of money coming through your place, or was that happening elsewhere?
No money came through our place. We were self-funded right from the start.
Okay.
This is when Sophia fired us so very publicly.
They didn't fire us because we were never.
It's hilarious. They've never paid for us.
Just what can I say? What can you really say about this?
So crazy.
You couldn't make this shit up.
No, you
right.
can't. You really.
But I'm going to go, guys, and Doris and get a cup of tea, a Scottish cup of tea.
Yep.
I'm thirsty.
Deserve it.
Hi, Jen, could I just say something just from the in terms of what we try to do? I think engaging with people like Tim, yourself, Beth, Crypto Expose, this is something that's been on our mind from the very start. We've got nothing to hide, and in terms of the crypto journey, especially someone like Tim, who's clearly a crypto enthusiast, we really want to make the crypto, the currency, the everyday money of the future. And there are plans in place. I know you mentioned something earlier, Tim, with regards to how we're going to make this. What vehicle do we have to actually make this work in an everyday context? And there are plans like that. But I think part of the conversation needs to be like this, where we actually are being challenged, where we have to be honest, and we have to actually not be honest because we are honest, but actually just address concerns, on a face-to-face basis, so to speak. Although you can't see me, and the only reason that is because I have this terrible wallpaper behind me. But anyway, the upshot is, please, let's keep this conversation going. And thank you so much for agreeing to actually be on this call with us, because it means a lot to us, especially as a startup. And we do need credibility and we do need traction, but we do care. And that's one of the reasons we approached you. So please don't ever think that you can't ask us anything or that there's anything we're trying to hide, because we will answer you, and I promise you.
Okay.
Be transparent.
Thanks, Lloyd. At the same time, Jen and Tim, for the first time ever, you can ask anything. So go ahead. I don't care if it takes all night.
I do.
I think we just do a follow-up if as necessary. I think I got most of the things I wanted to address, at least initially. So,
okay, you don't want to know how splits work on this
question before we really go.
How splits work? Say that again.
You don't want to know how splits work, how the power pack works.
Of course we do. How does it work?
Yeah.
Okay, how can you free somebody on a blockchain?
I'm going to sign out now. Bye, guys.
Okay, have a good evening.
Cheers, Gary.
Take care.
You're going to have to help me out because...
Jen,
right.
Do we need to schedule another call at some point? Where we can have another chat? Would that be more beneficial? Because I know I'm conscious we've sort of been on for about 3.25 hours now. So
I'm fired up. I will.
I know you're fired up, but you don't sleep. That's the problem. Some people sleep.
Okay, well let's take a half-hour break, and I will be back and answering whatever. Okay.
I got another gig I have to go to in about 45 minutes, so I'm not going to be able to join. But feel free to do what you guys want. So.
Well, I think we should probably schedule another call at some point. And
what we'll do is we'll have another webinar. We'll do that. We'll have it. Let everybody refresh and just take on board with everything that's said, and we'll schedule.
No, but honestly, ask me anything. I might not know the answer immediately, but I can find it out. There are enough people who still trust me.
Sorry, Dunks. I'm pretty conscious we haven't actually answered Beth's question. I think she came to I think we addressed her question, but much earlier in the chat. So our emails are above, and if she wants to get in touch with us directly, we're more than happy to answer your queries, Beth, if that's okay.
Like, can I just ask, what's your role here? I wasn't sure I picked up on it before. What is it you do?
I'm effectively Duncan's filter.
Not much. Yeah.
Duncan's filter. Have you ever seen the movie Amadeus? With Wolfgang Amadeus?
Yeah.
Where he's an absolute genius, but he's impossible. That's pretty much Duncan. So in terms of actually dealing with people and actually filtering his tirades, sometimes it's good. No, but essentially what I do is I'm sort of like managing the operations side and learning the business as I go along. I'm pretty new to it, but I've also got a long background in branding and marketing. So one of the things we can show at a later date is the branding manual that we've done for the new e-commerce platform, because that'll give you the positioning and how we want to position. And yeah, it's really sort of like sets our stall out in terms of the vision that we have. So at a later date we can share that with you. And any questions, get in touch with me. You get in touch with Duncan. And I think Beth's left, but please feel free to get in touch with us directly.
Okay.
Did you find this useful, Jen? Was this useful for you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm so glad. Yes, I'm so glad.
Jen, where are you based?
Tim, how do you feel?
Yeah, I thought it was eye-opening. I thought there was, some interesting points that were explored. I think I'll have to, let it marinate a minute. I mean, really, there needs to be support for this network, and
no, the network.
I don't know. I feel
really
not for the network, for the victims is what I meant.
Yeah. Agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah, but things are afoot, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, always with the OneCoin victims in mind. They always will be forefront of But this is what we've been doing the last 2 years, helping victims and trying to doing our best to prevent further victims.
Okay, well, Dorothy and I had a bag of Rouge's underwear delivered to us.
Oh, gross.
Oh, God. What did that cost? $1 million?
No, it's here if you want to sell it on eBay. 100% coin on DealShaker. Come on.
Duncan, I wouldn't even accept it for free. No. Thank you.
Dog wouldn't mind laying on it.
But anyway, I'm going to wrap things up, guys. So and Dorothy, thank you so much. Duncan, Lloyd, to everybody on it, Tim, and everybody that came on.
Okay, let's do this frequently. It's important.
Sorry?
And we can keep you.
Let's
do it frequently.
Frequently, it's important.
Yeah, we'll definitely hook back up. We'll do another webinar for sure. Dorothy, you have my number, don't you? You have the number anyway.
I do.
Are you going to post this on YouTube?
No, we said we wouldn't do that.
Okay.
Have you recorded it?
What? I haven't recorded it, no.
Oh, that would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Why, did you want it?
We can do it all again.
Did you want it shared publicly?
Next one, I think we share publicly. You know, I've got nothing to hide, really.
Right. Well, you know, I think it would be advantageous for the OneCoin victims.
Yeah, especially
that's my personal opinion
at the moment. So.
All right.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.